sharing. Just give me
maybe while you share, Rosa, Natalie, James and Lucy, do you want to give everyone a wave so they know who you are? And of course, you know me and Victoria.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yes. Sorry, just getting all my buttons ready here.
You might not recognize Gregory this morning because he got a new haircut. Is anyone else doing their own ISO haircuts in lockdown?
It's getting to that point, but I definitely couldn't take it all off.
We'll talk a little bit about MVPs later on, minimum viable haircuts. Okay, hopefully you've got my screen coming through, team. Yep, excellent. Then we'll 9:09, then we'll make a start. So yes, welcome to Rapid Prototyping Online. Let me move on to this. So 2 attendance links today. So Kristen spoke a little bit earlier about the link that you needed to fill out your attendance for part of the New Wave program. If you also can fill out the link for me, I will give you a UNSW Making Rapid Prototyping badge. So I think James put in the link earlier for this one, but maybe James, if you could put in the link for this one as well. So all I need you to do for this one, basically, I just need your ZID, and if you just put in New Wave as the class subject or something like that, we'll gather up all of those entries, and by the end of the day, we will grant you a Rapid Prototyping badge for those of you that are with us today. I can see something's gone in the chat, so I'm assuming that'll be that link. So I'll just give you a moment to jump in and fill that one out. Won't take very long at all to do that one.
I think there are 4 Rapid Prototyping attendance links in the chat, so you should not miss it.
Yes, no excuses, no excuses. So while you're working on that, I might introduce the wonderful bunch of people that I've brought with me today. I've brought the big artillery with me today to help us all get our prototypes sorted. So I'll start with myself because I'm already talking. So my name is Gregory Davis. I am the prototype manager at the Michael Crouch Innovation Centre. I am an industrial designer. I've been working in industry for about 20 odd years. Experience mainly in vehicles, marine, aerospace, automotive, furniture, point of purchase display, plus many, many other random bits and pieces that industrial designers tend to work on. I'm going to go around. I might throw to Lucy next, and then we can work our way around the screen that way.
Hi everyone, I think you might have all seen me at the New Wave Welcome last week, but yeah, I'm Lucy. I'm an entrepreneurship officer at the MCIC, but I'm also a mechanical and biomedical engineer by training. I submitted my PhD last year, so waiting for that to go through. I was also a New Wave, and we worked on a menstrual product. So if anyone would like any advice, whether that be on rapid prototyping or anything else, I'm all ears.
Okay, I think that's me next. Hi everyone, I'm James. I'm the fabrication coordinator for the MCIC Makerspace. So once again, you guys would have seen me at the welcome. Otherwise, you would have seen me in person at the Makerspace. I do encourage everyone to come along to the Makerspace once we're past this lockdown. Come say hi in person and get creative with your hands. I have a background in medical science and biomed engineering. One of my hobbies is working with researchers and academics. So that's what I love to do. And I'm also a musician, but haven't been getting the gigs these days with lockdown. So fingers crossed, we'll get some gigs in there and get some makerspace making in there as well. Lovely to work with all of you today.
It's me next. Hi everyone, I'm Rosa Miller. I am the project coordinator at the MCIC Makerspace. I myself have experience in startups. I'm also an industrial designer, so I have my main experience and specialize in medtech hardware design and manufacturing. So if anyone in the team has any med tech questions, please ask me.
Oh, yep. Hi guys, my name is Natalie, and I'm currently studying my Master's of Architecture at UNSW, and I'm a student ambassador at the MCIC. And well, you could say I spend most of my time in the workshop, and I get very hands-on to sort of see through my concepts and visualize my ideas and seeing how I could potentially carry that out and how I could build it and the entire structure process. So yeah, if you guys have any questions regarding architecture or just making models or anything, I'm here for you.
Excellent. Thanks, Natalie, and thanks, team. So how we're going to do this today, team, we've kind of pre-divvied up the breakout rooms amongst the crew. We're going to have about 4 or 5 breakout rooms each that we're going to pop in and out of. But if everything goes to plan in terms of time, there will be some time at the end where, as you've heard the experience of the team, we might be able to just jump back into your breakout room towards the end of the session and just have a more personal consult if it's based on our kind of subject matter experience. So I think with no further ado, let's jump into it and let's start talking about prototyping. So what is prototyping? I'm sure we're all very, very familiar with the word prototype and prototyping. So I just wanted to kind of set some context here, what it means to me. So a prototype is an early sample or model of a product that is built to test a concept or a process. And prototyping is a process of testing, refinement, and risk mitigation. So there's a little bit of confusion always in the world. And of course, everyone is different. We're in the startup space, and no one's actually kind of developed products before in this way. So there is a little bit of confusion about what is a prototype, what is an MVP, and I'll touch on that in a moment also. So yeah. Always can be hard to work out what exactly it is that we're doing here, but let's basically think about prototyping as celebrating failure. Thomas Edison, okay, light bulb, the classic bright idea icon, is celebrated as, being one of the world's greatest inventors ever, but actually failed at least around about 1,000 times in the generation of creating that light bulb. So what he was doing, he was driven to get to the light bulb, and he was learning, iterating, testing, failing as he went through that process. So think about the light bulb. Maybe I've tarnished it forever. So it's not about just arriving randomly at this bright idea. It's about walking that path, that hard path, zigging and zagging, learning to get to where that light bulb is today. Thomas Dyson. We all know the Dyson vacuum cleaner, but did you know that he failed 5,126 times to get the first vacuum cleaner on the shelves? So that over a period of years, it was something like 3 failures every day before he could get that product on the shelf. So he did it by iterating, learning a little bit. The actual technology was actually pre-existing. They'd been using the Cyclone Venturis in industrial vacuum dust extractions for decades, but he miniaturized it, and just that process alone took over 5 something years. So we don't ever want to get discouraged when we fail with our prototypes, because they're designed to fail, they're designed to learn. We want to go fast, we want to work out what it is we're looking to test. Next up, I'm just going to play a really short video from the delightful Simona Hertz. I'm not sure if anyone here is familiar with her, but this is a snippet, just a snippet from one of the TED Talks where she's talking about designing useless things and the learnings that we get from them. I'm pretty sure I've hit the share sound button, but someone let me know if sound does not come through.
So I do a lot of things like this. I see a problem and I invent some sort of solution to it. For example, brushing your teeth. Like, it's this thing we all have to do. It's kind of boring and nobody really likes it. If there were any 70-year-olds in the audience, they'd be like, yes! So what about if you had a machine that could do it for you? I call it the toothbrush helmet. What? So my toothbrush helmet is recommended by 0 out of 10 dentists, and it definitely did not revolutionize the world of dentistry, but it did completely change my life. Because I finished making this toothbrush helmet 3 years ago, and after I finished making it, I went into my living room and I put up a camera and I filmed a 7-second clip of it working. And by now, this is a pretty standard modern day fairy tale of girl posting on the internet takes the girl by storm. Thousands of men voyage into the comment sections to ask for her hand in marriage. She ignores all of them, starts a YouTube channel, and keeps on building robots. Since then, I've carved out this little niche for myself on the internet as an inventor of useless machines. Because as we all know, the easiest way to be at the top of your field is to choose a very small field. So I run a YouTube channel about my machines, and I've done things like cutting hair with drones, to a machine that helps me wake up in the morning, to this machine that helps me chop vegetables. I'm not an engineer. I did not study engineering in school, but I was a super ambitious student growing up. In middle school and high school, I had straight A's and I graduated at the top of my year. On the flip side of that, I struggled with very severe performance anxiety.
We'll stop that one there from Simona, but really great example of loving the exploration of solving somebody's problems. You know, I'll talk a little bit later on about one of the key problems people have with prototyping is they fall in love with their prototype. They fall in love with their own solution to somebody else's problem. So we want to explore it always, I champion, in a playful, fun way. So I'll just leave that up there for a moment. Write down Simona Hertz if you haven't already heard of her. She's got a great collection of videos that you can all explore and the fun way that she tackles problems that we all experience today. Okay, now I'm talking about failure still, and you can see here the image on your left is perhaps what people think prototyping is about. It's about a very linear path towards a goal, and you know we walk this path, and very early on the fail or the win path is kind of preset, but it's actually not. It's very much like the one on the right, where we will zig and we will zag, we will learn, we will pivot. It's very much like an aeroplane that might fly from Sydney to London. It does not leave Sydney and head straight to London. It will zig, it will zag, it will correct. And as it gets nearer, those corrections become more and more kind of fine. And that's how we get the plane on the tarmac in London. Remember those days where we could fly to London? Just over there on the left, you can see in the smaller text there, some things that might pull us in the wrong direction, even though these are some great tools that might assist our things. If we jump straight into CAD, computer-aided design, from the very first stage that we have a thought bubble, we're going to be limited by constraints in the 3 dimensions. The Cartesian constraints are going to limit what we do. It's going to be long. We're not going to be able to get that human interaction quickly enough. If we go down to CAD, CAM, CNC, even 3D printing, you know, these are great prototyping tools, but they want to be right towards after the middle part of your journey would we only then start to think about that. Other big failings are not knowing your user. We're going to talk a little bit about empathy in a moment and understanding your user and their problem. Making only one prototype. We're falling in love with our solution. We want to make lots of prototypes. We want to validate them. And of course, the final one there is absolutely falling in love with your prototype. Do not do that. Think about prototyping for those of you around us that skate, and I know there's at least one skater in the cohort today. You know, would you just jump off a massive skateboard ramp if you were still learning how to skate, or would you start small and build that up little bit by little bit? And that is certainly the same mindset that we have when we prototype. We're zigging, we're zagging, we're learning, we're failing, and then by the end of that, we're able to make that massive skateboard stunt. Now, what is a prototype? What is an MVP? Always a little bit contentious question. There's lots of other terms I'm going to throw in here also. So I'm going to take you all the way back to the curiosity stage. So perhaps you've got an idea and you're just curious, you're just exploring that idea. Maybe you're just coming into the makerspace here at the Michael Crouch Innovation Center Makerspace, or there as it is today, and you're just tinkering with some ideas, and then maybe you're zooming in on a proof of concept. Will something actually perhaps mechanically perform that task? Will those electronics work? Will that algorithm work? Or will just the most basic form of something actually work how you think it might in your head? And now we're into full prototyping, and a prototype might be made up of lots and lots of proofs of concepts. It could have 16, it could have 100 proofs of concept in one prototype. But a prototype is where we're exploring those ideas. A prototype should not generally go to your customer. It's a testing tool. It's internal testing generally. Again, look, I've sold prototypes to customers when they're big, expensive vehicles. Yes, it's a working prototype. They can have that. But generally, prototyping is considered to be internal. Prototypes cost you money, and it is very kind of rare that you might be selling your prototype to your user or customer. If they are starting to get into your user or customers, we would be calling that perhaps a pilot program. You might be giving it to them for free for testing, or they may even be paying for it. But piloting is where these things might first enter a controlled marketplace or user group study. When we're starting to sell our product to someone, when they're paying money, and maybe people that we don't know, they're outside of our user test group, that is when we start to use the term MVP, minimum viable product. So this is an early release of a product that just has those minimum amounts of viability built in that services the need of the user. It is very complicated. Different things kind of present themselves a little bit differently. As I said, I have sold prototypes before to people, but these were hundreds of thousands of dollars each. It's very hard to not sell it, depending on government grants. Also, sometimes you can sell prototypes. But you can see that that's a standard journey through the prototyping and MVP space. Very easy to release MVPs in the digital realm. It's very easy to do updates in software, release them, you get them on your phone all the time, app needs to be updated. Very hard to do in hardware, very expensive to retool up maybe your injection molding line, logistics, getting those components out to people, but certainly very, very simple in the digital realm. So why might we prototype? We might prototype for very, very different reasons. And starting at the top left, aesthetics. How does it look? Okay, so us built environment people that are brought with us today are all very much about how the object looks. Will it be an object of desire? Will it talk to people? Will people want to own that product? So that is important, but we're going to be focused today on the one on the top right, how people perform tasks and interact with the design. That's what we do when we're rapid prototyping. We're testing that human interaction more than anything else in this rapid prototyping mindset. Yes, also bottom left, we can test the functionality, the physical properties or the algorithm properties in the digital world, but does it actually work how we say it might? And also we can prototype manufacturing product lines and assembly lines and stuff like that can all be, we can prototype to make sure that we have the most efficient way of producing that product also. But for today, we're focusing on the human interaction side of things, which leads us into the design thinking overview. Okay, so you've probably all are very much aware of the design thinking, the double diamond. So it all starts with empathy, understanding your user, understanding your user's needs, understanding your user's problems. So we will take a deep dive into empathy, then know the world in which our user lives. And then we will start to define the problem, the how might we look to solve this problem for our user. We've then ideated and we've gone perhaps a little bit crazy with all these, ideas, which we want quantity over quality when we ideate. So you can see we're starting to go divergent again, lots and lots of different ideas. And now at the prototyping stage, we're going to take the best of those ideas and we're going to start to refine them. So you can see that diamond, a little bit elongated because it can take a little bit of time to prototype and to test. So testing and prototyping really need to go together. We take our prototype, we test it, we get that feedback, we iterate, and we go again and again. So I'm just going to take a bit of a rewind. I know you're probably at the ideation stage. You've probably got your ideas ready, generally at this stage in the cohort, but I'm going to take you all the way back to empathy. And I'm going to introduce you to a persona. Just as an example, this is Lucy. What do we say? What can we see about Lucy? So Lucy was born in France and she moved to Australia when she was a 11-year-old girl with her parents and her French bulldog. Frenchie is his name. She's traveled around a lot of Australia and she also loves traveling around the world. She's very, very concerned and worried about climate change. She reads a lot of science fiction books. Lucy is passionate about home gardening and growing her own fruit and vegetables make up the majority of her diet. So this is a really, really kind of lightweight, fast user empathy map of Lucy. So from this, my expectation would be most of you would know who your key user is. Who are you designing this product for? What are their problems? So here is a how might we for Lucy. So we've come up with a hypothesis that Lucy loves cooking. She's got a lot of fruit and vegetable scraps and she loves composting, but it's very, very difficult for her to compost. So let's just run through that process that we've drawn out here by studying Lucy, by interviewing Lucy, by asking questionnaires, finding out why this is such a problem for Lucy. Okay, so super, super fast. These are my little thumbnail sketches here. And your first exercise is going to be drawing your storyboard for your user. Okay, so just pay some attention to how I'm narrating through this, and with the expectation that in the next few minutes, I'm going to invite you all to go into your breakout room and give you 10 minutes to map out a user journey for your user, going through the key nodes, the key interaction points throughout that process. Okay, so let's start in the top left. And you can see this is Lucy in the kitchen and she's chopping up some vegetables. You can see she's French, she's wearing a beret, but you can see how low fidelity my little scribbled drawings are. So people are going to tell me I can't draw. That's okay. I can't draw, but this is good enough to tell the story. So Lucy is in the kitchen, she's chopping up, say there's a carrot there, and she's taking that top off the carrot and she's putting it into a container. Now Lucy's busy, she's at uni, she's studying, she's got a good social life, and that stuff is building up in that container until the point that it starts to smell. So you can see there, really simple, just some little wafts of of smell coming up. Lucy's holding a nose. So really easy way to communicate that that is a problem. When it gets super, super smelly, Lucy decides, okay, I've got to take this now into the backyard. So you can see Lucy there, and she's walking this bucket of stuff down into the backyard. Perhaps she's tiptoeing around her dog poo in the backyard. Perhaps it's a long way down in the backyard, but she walks that down all the way to the backyard finally, and then she tips it into a compost bin. And you can see there, it's wet, it's sloshy, and she's actually, some of it splashed back and got on a beautiful white dress. So you can see just that there. And look at, she's really unhappy. She's got this massive frown on her face there for that. So a big problem in her life is getting the stuff down the backyard and getting it there clean. Next storyboard scene here is just a calendar, just showing that, you know, composting doesn't happen quickly. It takes a while. So I've just sketched out a bit of a calendar just to show that it takes some time. And then after maybe a season or whatever it may be, Lucy then has to go all the way down the backyard, and she has to dig out some of that fertilizer compost, which she then finally, she arrives at the point where she wants to be at, and she puts that fertilizer onto her garden to grow her plants. So very, very simple, little bit kindergarten, perhaps, I can hear you saying. But this is a very, very important communication tool. This is going to put your whole team kind of on the same page. Perhaps sometimes for the first time, we've all spoken about it, but we all have a different background. We all have a different bias. We all have a different lived experience. So just when we can draw this out, we can really make sure we are all on the right page. And we can even then take this back to a user and talk to them about it. You know, is this an accurate representation of the steps that you might go through when you are performing this task? Interesting little fun fact that storyboarding was invented by Walt Disney back in the 1930s as a really quick, lightweight way of taking all of those words that might have been previously written for scenes to represent that visually. So it is a great technique, and I am going to now invite you all to jump into your breakout rooms. Just don't go just yet. So we're going to give you 10 minutes. You're going to have one of my team jump in for about 2 minutes each. So we just want to really encourage you just to jump in there, share your screen with each other, and just start drawing. How to draw when you're in the breakout room, we'll get somebody to share the screen. And then we all want to hit the annotate button, which is right next to the share screen icon. And then we are all going to draw where necessary. And we just want stick figures, really quick, light. Obviously, it's harder. Here's Lucy. She's got a sword. She's fencing for some reason because she's French, maybe. Really lightweight, super fast, but we're going to start to work out all of what those nodes are. So we're all going to go into our breakout rooms. You're going to get 10 minutes. Share your screen. Make this light, make this fun. Please remember to save it. There's a save button there, or take some screen dumps. If you want to even take a screen dump of that screen, but I'm sure you can draw those grids yourself. Sometimes it's a great exercise just to get your pen onto that paper. So we're going to give you 10 minutes now. James, if you want to open up those breakout rooms, or I think maybe they're already preset, just jump into the rooms that you're already, I think, pre-assigned to, and we will be around to work with you. Once the attendance link, they came a little bit late, so
Easy.
And I just sort of wanted to understand how that might sort of fit in, like this process.
Definitely. Look, it's essentially the same thing. It's like, you know, the storyboards and the visual representation of the user journey is, to me, in my experience, is just about getting everyone onto the same page so that we all understand, and we can take our storyboard into a meeting with stakeholders and say, you know, just a reminder, this is who we are solving this problem for. You know, this is Bob, and Bob starts here, and these are the current issues, the barriers that stops Bob from, you know, being the most successful that Bob can be. Obviously, storyboards and user journeys can get super, super high fidelity also. Like, they may, you know, even look like very, very realistic. You might in industry, you might get an artist, and maybe, you know, from your marketing background, you'd actually get artists to come in and draw through these in super high fidelity. But for the rapid prototyping
Not
side,
for
of it,
this.
we just need those sketches. The key thing here is that everyone in this team is all on the exact same page, and maybe some of the teams that were in the breakout room, they actually discovered something by doing that exercise. Oh, I didn't think that step was important, but it is. It's drawn up, so we're all suddenly kind of zoomed in on exactly what those nodes are. So that's why we do it as part of the prototyping thing. Obviously, depending on the team's background and how long they've been together, they may already have this well mapped out. That was kind of one from the Lucy one that we had. That was Lucy. Sorry, I'll just share my screen again. That was exploring a problem for Lucy, or her current solution to the problem. We'll just go back to that one there. Next, we're going to, when we've developed up our product, we might do that exact same storyboard again, but with our solution. So we might have taken those 8 squares now down to 5 because we've taken away so many steps. So yeah, just want to keep your storyboard agile, and it will evolve as we also move forwards. Okay, just throw over to my team. Any wonderful stories from the teams that you were working with? Any wonderful snippets, or maybe we'll just keep moving? No, look, no news is good news. That means you must have all had excellent projects underway. So thank you for that. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit now about some value proposition and zooming in on perhaps that one key piece of value that your prototype is bringing to the user. So why is your user going to choose, you know, your product over a different existing product, or an existing developing product, or a different methodology to getting to that same result? So what I like to do, and this is something that works super, super well in the flesh with lots of Post-it notes, always lots of Post-it notes, is writing out some one-word descriptors of what the key value is. If you had to just zoom in on one word, what does your solution, what does your prototype bring to your user? Does it bring them, you know, is it about cost saving? And you see here, I say one word, but value for money might be considered just one word, one phrase. I want everyone now, I'm going to give you 3 minutes of quiet time, and we're going to do this individually without talking to our kind of co-founders. I want you to maybe list the top 10 kind of single words or single values that this solution brings to your user. Is it about community? Is it about connection? Is it portability? Is it about safety, environmentally friendly? Start going now. Maybe I'll put the clock on for 3 minutes, see if this clock will work. 3 minutes quiet time. You list them in any order. And then we're going to go into the breakout rooms, and then we're going to have a little bit of a chat with our groups about what we thought was the important value that this product brings.
How do I get to my room? Sorry.
You don't need to be in your room just now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just stay with us. This is
Okay, thanks.
time. We'll go into the room in 1 minute, 45 seconds. Just 30 seconds remaining. Just any other ideas that you think might be of value that this solution can bring to the user. That's quite the alarm. Okay, team, now what we're going to do, we're going to jump into our breakout rooms, and we're going to, like we did with the post-it notes, but maybe we'll just type these into the chat within the room. We're going to explore what patterns might have come up. Often what we're doing to look here is tease out some other things. Often when we're designing something, we all think that it might be about value for money, but actually the service that we're selling to people or giving people is actually not so much about value for money. We're actually giving them more time. We're making something a lot easier for them. So if that's the case, when we prototype, we would want to prototype on say an app, for instance, that was very fast to use, because it's all about saving of time. That's what our users need. So we're just teasing out what other ideas, and maybe we're going to pivot. We thought we were going to be designing something about value saving, but we're going to pivot our app within this session, at least, to focus on saving the user some time. So I might invite you all to jump into the breakout rooms. We're going to go away for 6 minutes, a little bit longer because it's a little bit clunky to do in a breakout room, a bit faster with the post-it notes, but let's all go away for 6 minutes. My team will jump around and just help you kind of convene that conversation. And we're looking for maybe some surprise value in this thing. So 6 minutes in the breakout room. We'll see everyone back here at, say, 10:06.
Sorry about that, Nicole.
Yeah, it is very, very rapid. How are my team going? Look, the great news is that was the smallest of the micro breakout rooms. The next one's going to be half an hour, so we'll have a little bit more time to really have bigger conversations. But that's just a really little exercise I wanted to get everyone to do. As I said, we normally do that with the post-it notes, and it works very well there. It's a little bit clunkier to do in a digital world, but we're looking to tap into those kind of hidden little experiences that we all bring to a team. And when we're talking about a startup with co-founders, we really want to celebrate a team that has very diverse backgrounds, and we all have that different lived experience. So a little exercise like that is a great thing to do throughout kind of the product development phase, just to see what we're tapping into. And suddenly we might take a product from one market into the other. It might be a very similar product, might even be of quite a similar market, but the value that brings, you know, from country to country, from age group to age group, the value might be slightly different. So what, as we said before, what might be about value for money is actually about for a different group, it actually saves them a lot of time. So that's when we might slightly retweak the same basic design and launch it into a different market with a different set of screens for an app, or for hardware, a different kind of facade, or the semantics of the user interaction might be a little bit different. So I know that was super, super fast. I promise that is the last micro breakout room. But even for those that weren't able to do that, some people were in the solo founders room, so it doesn't work if we have only one person. But, you know, this is something that we can do with our user after we've done some user testing, invite them to give us some words which they thought were most profound and get them ranked, and then start to look at patterns from our users as well. Any insightful little snippets that my team found in the breakout rooms?
I found a lot of teams had quite a few words, and between them there was a lot of overlap. And I think I gave this advice to the teams I talked to, but it's really useful to just narrow down maybe a few of the words and figure out what it is, what exactly the key values are your team or your startup wants to offer, because it's really hard to try and do 10 things at once, especially when you're at this early stage. So just figure out exactly what you do and do it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Lucy. So when we rapid prototyping now, if we've zoomed in on a product that is value for money, or if it is about, say, portability or something with a physical product, that is what we would now take away, and that is what we would prototype, something that is super, super portable. So we would try and, you know, miniaturize or design it so it might fit onto a backpack or whatever, but we would then take the winner from this kind of little voting exercise and just do a prototype based on that. Remember, I said we don't want to make just one prototype. We don't want to make one that we fall in love with. We want to prototype, you know, various different ones, so we don't have that deep love of our first solution. So, you know, we could be designing 3 different prototypes based on the top 3 results of this. Of course, we don't have time today. We're just going to focus on that number 1 that we are working on. Oh, it's fast. It's lots of talking. Okay, let's keep moving forwards. Running through those clocks. Okay, where to next? So when we prototype, we want to start at this stage to maybe make our ideas a little bit more tangible. So that might be a sketch. You can see here a sketch that I've drawn up as a solution for Lucy. So what we did for Lucy was we were saying, hey, the biggest obstacle in Lucy's journey is maybe walking all the way down the backyard, maybe long flight of skinny steps, maybe she's zigging, zagging, carrying this stuff. What if we could do this right on the bench for Lucy? So just sketching up here, really simple, lightweight sketches. Don't tell me you can't draw. You can draw just as well as this. If I was super honest, I'd say this is my 3rd set of sketches on this. So I probably drew something super, super basic, traced over it, and then I actually went back to make it look super sketchy. So I've never told anyone that, but you seem like a cohort that will keep that secret for me. So we want to sketch rough. We don't want to tie into constraints. We would never take this thought bubble into CAD. Why? It's just a box with some rounded corners. So we can do this, team. So, you know, in the next part, maybe this is all we can do as we're starting to prototype the physical is sketch today. I'm not sure. Hopefully some people have gathered up some stuff and we can actually all be folding up paper or gluing something on at home, but sketching is really where it all starts. So starts to give some ratios, starts to represent some of the forms that we might take on. Maybe it starts to show where it might have some human interaction. You can see here, you know, little thought bubbles here. It's got a timer on it. It's got a, you know, 240 volt plug. So we're showing that really quickly to everyone that it's electric and it's got a timer on it, just from a really simple sketch. You know, food scraps go in and it pumps out a liquid down the bottom that goes straight to the plant. Really, really simple. I've also got a little how might we sketched on there just to keep us on track. How might we enable Lucy to be more circular with her food waste? So it's a very broad how might we statement. But yeah, just fill up your pages, sketch, go again, trace over the top of your sketches if you're doing them on paper, and just start to build them up into a more higher fidelity representation of something that we might be building. I know Tori and Kristen sent this one out on Friday and spoke about this also at the beginning of the session, but we can all prototype at home. I would be surprised if everyone here could not access maybe 50% of this type of stuff at home. Some of my personal favorites here, even blue tack, you can mold up that blue tack. Okay, you might need a lot of it, maybe more than you've got, but we can start to use that blue tack to craft 3D forms. If you're lucky enough to have modeling clay and, places like Officeworks, you can even make your own Play-Doh at home. I have a recipe that I sometimes send out to teams so they can make their own Play-Doh at home in lockdown and start to sculpt at home. Alfoil is fantastic. It could be from your garlic bread. I had garlic bread last night and got the alfoil. I can form that into any shape I want also too. So, that's a great tool for rapid prototyping the hardware. But then cardboard, maybe tape, if you happen to have a hot glue gun, that is so powerful. Toilet rolls, these things were like currency last year, toilet paper rolls. So maybe you've got a batch of them still. Corks, bottle tops, pipe cleaners, anything you can get your hands on, even Post-it notes, I can fold these up. We can all be making at home. So please do always save those little bits and pieces for future projects. And during lockdown, there's been some people making some wonderful, what they're calling cardboard couture, mimicking some of the high fashion catwalks of Europe with scrap that they've got at homes. There's a great example. I think I'd rather take the one on the right anyway, but that's just my sustainability hat. But yeah, we can all do this at home. It's fun. And, when we don't have so many options, when we don't have a room full of different fabrics and seamstresses or something, we're forced to be extra imaginative in how we might use some of these materials. And often that will lead to great discoveries within that product development. One more example of this particular chap who mimicked up that. Pretty interesting stuff, but we can all do this at home. And one great thing, as you're going to see today, I'm going to set a 30-minute time limit on it so we don't overthink the product development as we're doing it here. I said at the beginning to avoid CAD, but I'm rebranding CAD to cardboard aided design. For any of us amongst us that are engineers and have spent some time in CAD, I've said how bad it is. I say that because I've spent half my life in CAD. I wish I could have said I've spent half my life in cardboard. But it's about getting those ideas out quickly, super quickly, getting them to a 3D form where we can start to role play and put that in front of our users. Okay, little video now that I shot a while ago. Kind of wanted to shoot this because we're not in the makerspace, we're not in the MCIC. So this is kind of how we might be doing this if we were. This is what would have happened if we were in the makerspace and today.
We are here today in the Michael Crouch Innovation Centre Makerspace, where we are going to be working on a kitchen benchtop food composter for Lucy. Remember, when we prototype, we want to go fast. We have gathered up some things from the trash: an old cardboard box, a milk bottle top, a cork, some paddle pop sticks, and we have also got some scissors, a box cutter, some tape, a glue gun, a ruler, and a marking pen. We're going to give ourselves only 30 minutes to build our first version. And by going fast, we're going to force ourselves to go with our first instincts. We are not going to overthink things. We are literally going to get hands-on and start to make a solution that will enable Lucy to compost on her kitchen benchtop. We've worked out quickly roughly how big it's going to be, and we just start folding it and gluing it together. It's super fast and super simple. We glued on a milk bottle top to be our on-off control knob, and we have a paddle pop stick there as an indicator bar. Our first rapid prototype is now ready for user testing. And we learned a lot from the first test. It was way too big. So we iterated and made a smaller one. Testing proved that the second one was a good size, but a lot of feedback said that it was just too square. So our third one had more curves. We tested at each stage and we learned more as we went. This is how we rapid prototype.
So there you go. That's what I look like with hair. But that is a great example of an MVP, minimum viable production. We shot that in just that one shot there one afternoon in the makerspace. So, it's not super fancy, but it is, it does get that message across on how to prototype. So, I'm very much about practicing that which I preach there. So one more example, it's a great example here from our design team in the US, IDEO. They went into a meeting with a client, and the client was, I think, an ear, nose, throat surgeon, and they were talking about a new kind of little nasal kind of cauterizing device. And they looked around the room, what do we have with us that we can start to role play this with? So a closed peg, an ear pod case, a whiteboard marker, and a bit of sticky tape. They're able to get this device, which you see on the left here, and run through that whole experience so that the customer could distill that knowledge and they could confirm that whole story with this very, very simple prototype. And from there, you can see they've moved on. Plasticine, maybe this was meeting 2 that they had with a customer, or maybe they did some user testing with some plasticine, and then the fidelity increases off to the final product, but you can see the form hasn't actually, it's still kind of this pistol grip type of thing there. So they learned that very, very fast. Okay, enough talking about hardware. Let's delve into the world of apps and websites. And, it's basically, again, it's the same principles. We want to talk to our users, write up our how might we statement, get our solutions, and then we want to start to test that, to map that out in a way that users can test it. And it can be as simple as Post-it notes on that, piece of A4, and each kind of screen can be a, different leaf of the Post-it note. It can be that simple. We can take this to our user. I really want you all to embrace the mindset that we never take something to our user to test that we're not a little bit embarrassed by. Because it's best to be embarrassed by something that you've developed up in, a few hours and take that back for testing than it is to lock yourself in a dark CAD room for 3 months and design up, this perfect solution that you think is perfect and it looks complete, but it totally misses the mark. So we're looking to get those little learnings along the way here. And something like this will do that very, very simply. Have some fun with it. Look at this. Again, I know your minds might be thinking, Gregory, this is very preschool, but giving your users something super, super low fidelity, something interactive and something fun is actually going to garnish a lot more feedback from them. Okay, they're going to feel a lot more empowered to give you feedback when it looks like there's still room for development. But if you took them this as a digital app and sent it to them, their feedback is going to be a lot more stifled by the level of completeness that it appears to have. So we're looking to get the correct nodes of interaction correct with something like this. They can literally slide it through the screen and start to press those buttons like that. So very, very simple. It's fun. Prototyping should be fun. We want to fall in love with our user's problem and work towards it in a fun way. What we're going to focus on today, though, because we are, for those of you that are app or website developed, is we're going to map out some screens like this. And to run you through this, we've got 8 screens here. And you can see very, very clearly when I press, this little icon on the home screen, it takes me to here. That red arrow is going to do the speaking for you when you do your user testing, because the best way of wrecking all of your hard work with user testing is starting to explain it to people. So if I put you here and this was yours and you said, okay, so what you do is you press this button here and it takes you to here and then you do this, that's a fail. You've messed it up to the point where you might as well, that's just a waste of everyone's time. You want to put this in front of somebody and you want to make them sit there and look awkward and confused. And then you're going to take some notes and say, test subject was feeling confused on third screen, and invite them to talk out what they're thinking. Okay, well, I'm on the third screen and I've got a few different options here. And if I hit this one, it goes here. You know, really encourage them to talk what they're going through, so that you can start to design around the ways that they're getting stuck. And, you know, I would certainly be inviting you to test with as many kind of user groups as possible. But you can see here, the arrows should take care of it. I don't like that word should, I just said it though. But, you know, the arrows are designed to take care of that flow path through that app, all those nodes of interaction. One thing with an app or with a website, or when we're developing that, you know, how many actual screens do we need? Do we need 8 screens like this one? Okay, one's back at the desktop, but do we need those 7? Think about Google. You know, it started as a one-page, you know, search engine, and look at the behemoth that is Google now, with all of, you know, Google Drive, Gmail, Google Maps, you name it, there's a Google for everything. What if they'd tried to enter the marketplace as that behemoth? No, they entered the marketplace as a one-page solution where you could type in a word and hit a button and it would give you those results. So never be afraid. I want you to be totally empowered to be entering the market with as little kind of screen development as possible. One thing I think which is often a major issue with people, I think we've all felt the frustration of, you know, buying an airline ticket, buying a concert ticket, and you're left on the last page and you're not sure, did it work? It's sitting there, it's telling me I'm buying a ticket, but you don't know. So always consider what your final user interaction is with your prototype. Is it fun? Is it going to leave them with a good experience? Is it going to leave them with a smiley face? Could it literally have a smiley face on the screen to show that, you know, everything is fine? Big tick, perhaps. If you leave them with a bad final screen, and a lot of people do because they don't think it's important, but they're not so empowered to come back. So we always want to consider that last screen. And certainly in the next session, you're going to have half an hour and you're going to kind of start to map out or show me what these screens might be. Often you can design from the back, show me what your best experience of happiness is as your final screen. Another great place to start, just to free up some creativity, is actually back on the home screen. You know, draw out your icon on your home screen. And then you've just got a few screens in between to fill out. Okay, so this was kind of what your kind of work will be for the teams that are doing something like an app or a website. Feel free to take a screenshot of that now, if that is you, something that you can share back in the group. I'll just leave that up for a moment longer. But you don't need this. You can just draw those rectangles out on any white screen that you might be sharing. Maybe you've all got a screenshot of that. I'll come back to that one to a moment. I just want to also talk about we've spoken about hardware. We've spoken about, you know, apps or websites kind of presenting in the same way. How might we prototype as something which is a service? How might we do that? Well, basically the same rules still apply. We want to role play through that. We want to test that. We want to put everyone, and again, you would do this within your group first, get everyone in on the same page. Grab some Lego, Duplo, whatever you might have around, build up a diorama of that whole interaction and go through that. You know, you can invite your user to come in and actually do this with the Lego at this stage. It's what people in industry would do. So don't feel embarrassed that it's preschool, it's kindergarten play. It is, but we want to celebrate that and we want to get our users involved in that. have a look at the image on the right. So these two ladies are testing maybe a ride sharing platform. And I think probably fairly safe to say most of us in the audience have used a ride sharing platform, but we've probably all used it in a slightly different way. And we cannot begin to pretend that we are the stereotypical user. So again, it looks preschool, it looks a bit silly, but they've actually cut out a cardboard car and stuck it to an office chair. And I would invite you to do this in a way that doesn't contravene OC health and safety rules for whatever territory you are in, but they're mimicking that whole experience. So, you know, where does that need to travel come from? From the moment you first pick up your phone and press a button, maybe you start with a copy and pasted address, relive that whole experience. So you know where you want to go, you press the button, you know, Uber's coming. What happens now? Do you have 5 minutes to put your shoes on as you walk outside? Do you need to grab that bottle of wine because you're going to a dinner party? Go through all of that experience, because maybe your app might say, hey, you've got a 7:30 date in your calendar. Do we need to stop at a bottle shop or something like that? We will learn those little things as we go through that full role-playing experience. Okay, I just noticed there's a couple of things written in the chat, just not sure. I'll just address them before we jump into our big breakout room. Question here, for testing prototype through user interviews, how many people would you recommend interviewing? Would you recommend one-to-one interviews or interviews in small groups? So great question. Look, I would always, I think, start with a broad spectrum survey that goes out to a lot of people, and then invite people from that survey, you know, would they be open to an interview? I think probably for every 10 people you survey, you should be interviewing one. I think at this stage it would be, I don't know if Kristen's covered this. I know you had a marketing kind of class last week with Natalie, the delightful Natalie, I believe. But, you know, I would like to see you on stage, even part of your pitch, to show traction that, you know, you've spoken to, you know, 20 users. That would be, I think, in my mind, the minimum. But of course, it does depend on what you are designing and who you are designing for. I know that some of these ideas, maybe they've been worked on for possibly years and then brought into the program. So basically, the more we can get, the better. Interviews in small groups. Like, I think there are some cases where that might be applicable, but I think sometimes you get group think when you do that. You get other people that sit there, and I've certainly been this person before, let everyone else speak and then add something, or just kind of nod and say, yep, same too. That's not great, because I'm being influenced by other people's, you know, lived experience. So I think separating them, like we did the blind kind of voting before with the one words, when you separate people, you're empowering them to give something which is kind of unadulterated. Nobody else has influenced that for them. So I think that's very important. Just another message that come through, the course code for the attendance for our link for the rapid prototyping badge link, just put in New Wave. It doesn't really matter. I just look at the timestamps and know that this is the only workshop that's running at the moment, so it's not so important. But I would say New Wave or rapid prototyping. Don't stress. So long as you got your ZID in there, that's all I really need. Okay, we're right on 10:30, which means we're exactly on time. So thank you all for being rapid with us here. So now what are we going to do? Now we're going to go into our breakout rooms for a good amount of time, still pretty fast because we've got lots to do in this room. So if people are working on hardware, and I think everyone is separate, so no one's kind of doing this with their housemate or loved ones, but if you do have something that you wanted to, you know, start to fold up from hardware, we'll do that individually in that group. Maybe you can all take on a different component, a different user interface, or, you know, grabbing a shoebox and hacking it up so that we can start to run through that experience. If you're doing the digital, I'll just go back to this screen, final kind of call for anyone that wants to take a screenshot of that. And we're just going to start drawing on top of that. And for those that are doing the service, I think what can we draw out from that? I showed, just me drawing up the desktop compost bin. We can just start to draw how we might test that service development and just kind of convene that conversation. Even how might we test that? Because the second part of this, after this 30 minutes, would be we would take this away and invite someone to test us. So within the next 30 minutes, we want to develop something that is a powerful tool for user testing. Okay, so we have 30 minutes. Seems like a lot after the last 6-minute one, but this time will evaporate super, super fast. So we're going to go with our gut feeling on this team. We're just going to get hands on and we're just going to go a little bit crazy and get something up and running, and it will evolve in the next 30 minutes till we've got something which we can send to user testing. So let's open up those breakout rooms. It is now 10:34, say. We will be back here at 11:04 and we'll start to showcase some of these fantastic prototypes that we've developed up. Any questions before we go?
One more question just in the chat, Gregory.
Yeah.
Just if our idea is a service, do we ask users how the service would be beneficial for them, or conduct the service and ask how they like it?
Yeah, look, I would definitely conduct it, invite them to be a part of it, and then ask those questions afterwards. Because if we ask them first and we've got something that's very, very different, it's going to be, I think, it's going to miss the point to what they need. So it's best to invite them through the service first and then give the feedback. Okay, let's all jump into those rooms. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. How did everyone find that? Tell me in the chat, write down. Last team I came out with, and I'm not going to mention who they were, but I think maybe everyone was feeling a little bit stressed because of that clock. Very hard. Yeah, let's get some feedback. Let me practice what I preach here. User feedback. Tell me, how was that? Hopefully someone's got something good.
I reckon ask CPod how they went.
Ah, yes. Fun. There we go. I counter the very hard, stressful with a little bit of fun, and that's what we want. A lot of you might be thinking is why, just to clarify, this would be 30 minutes, even if we're in the MCIC, even with whiteboards, even with my big pile of making kit, I would still only give you 30 minutes to do this. We all split up. I hope you can get back together. All great bands split up, but then they do a reunion tour. Sorry, that's my joke. Yeah, so we want to do this fast. We want to get that gut instinct out. As you saw with that little video, I could have spent days designing something in CAD and 3D printing this perfectly kind of looking kind of model to role play with, but then I would have wasted all that time because it was far too big. I didn't put it in the context, in the contextual environment of that kitchen. And even me, I'm from Brisbane. Houses are generally bigger in Brisbane because it's cheaper. So, my kitchen in Brisbane is a lot bigger than my kitchen in Sydney. So by doing that in half an hour, I've saved myself days of CAD. So it's about getting that idea out so that we can all assess it in the correct context and role play through it. Any other feelings? Forced us to think a lot, got some good ideas flowing. So with that prototype, as you saw with my little cardboard benchtop one, that was something which we tested within the team. But certainly remember what I said before, let's always take something back to our user that we are a little bit embarrassed by. Better to go back the next day and say, hey, spend a few hours on this or spend 30 minutes on this, because Gregory said, you can blame me. He said this guy said I should only spend 30 minutes on this, and take that back to your user and test it. role play that. It's a little bit hard in a digital world, but it's not impossible. Okay, now this is the user testing part. Now, I only got into 4 breakout rooms. I'm going to invite also my crew. Do you think anyone here might have something that they want to broadcast out to showcase what they got up to? Anyone want to share their idea to a cohort of 50 people to do some user testing on?
Hope you guys don't hate me, but I think Little Dreamers Club, you guys have something that looks already pretty good, and this is a good opportunity to get some of the feedback you're looking for.
What do you reckon? I can see Dana's on my screen from the Little Dreamers Club. I don't know who the person that might hold the body of
Yeah,
work.
I've got it. I'll just pull it up.
So
So this is something that I created.
Wait, hang on a minute. Before you go too far, are we going to use a test this, or are you going to explain it too much to us? I might let Lucy convene the testing session because she's a little bit familiar with it, but we don't want you to explain it.
Okay.
So you might just have to share the screen. I'll let Lucy take the reins here because I didn't get a chance to work with you. How are we going to best user test this one, Lucy?
I think if you put, if you share your screen, Sharina, and maybe if can we preview your website?
I don't know. Will that work?
If you click the 3 dots next to publish as website, what does that give you?
I don't know where that is.
Oh, at the top, on the upper right hand corner. Maybe if you click present, let's see if that gives us. So, oh no, so just go back. So the 3 dots, and directly under that you have present. Oh no, go up and to the right.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
yeah, all good. And yeah, hit present. Alrighty, so when you guys see this website, what's the first thing your eyes are drawn to? Go for it, Gregory.
I was going to say, people might want to put some more kind of one word or little phrases into the chat, or just feel free to turn on the microphone. It'll be quicker. I just want to spend a couple of minutes on this one just to showcase one. We've got a rainbow.
I look at books.
Colors.
Someone's put get started. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll click the get started button.
Yeah.
That takes us. Alrighty. So who wants to go and pick one of the 3 options? Or maybe they're not options. So I'm not sure. I guess my feedback is for this website. I don't know where to go. And I know, Sharina, we talked about this a little bit, that we scroll down. So maybe we'll just scroll down because I don't see a button to move next.
Yeah, so what we were kind of doing was this is like a scrolling page. So it starts the home page with a little bit of a description and then goes to how it works, the product works, and then now this is about the products, I guess. On this product page, we would have a link here that's not on here at the moment. That would say like, find out more information or something, because this would just be a little like product summary. And then you'd click on the find out more information and it'll take you to a more detailed page on how to buy. Or maybe it would say like buy now, or like, and it'll take you to another page on how to buy as such.
Cindy and Emily and Kirsty make some good points. So Cindy asked options for what, and Emily's what is it? So I think maybe on the first page, on your landing page, you might need to have a little bit of information about what it is you're offering. So I knew what you were offering because of course I spoke to you, but this is some really good feedback. And Kirsty says there's nothing to explain how it works. So I think we've got to think about how are we going to really demonstrate to people, like right off the bat, like just from a first glance, what the idea is.
Yeah.
Maybe going back to your original pitch, like you were saying, are you looking for a more diverse books to show your children or something like that? Like maybe just an interim screen that just explains, like who the person is and what you're offering them.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Cindy. Yeah, like right on your landing page, I think the rainbow is really nice, but it's about telling the story that you're offering books that showcase diverse authors, and also have diversity within the narratives themselves. So I think it's like we can see it here in the books, but it's about really saying it outright.
Yeah, I think like that interim screen is a great idea.
Yeah, perfect.
More detail on like what actually is.
When you're ready, maybe we'll move on to what the next screen is.
I think it was just kind of some other, like this is like a gift subscription, and it's also kind of, you click here and it'll take you to actually buying it. And then this is just playing around with some ideas.
Yeah, fantastic. So Sing Young actually said that she loved that their gift subscriptions are a feature that you have.
Yeah.
Because of course we're coming up to Christmas time. I mean, I say coming up to Christmas time, but it's 3 months away.
No, it's in the comms, it's in the media, it's in the government COVID discussions too. How might we have a Christmas shopping bonanza? So it is coming up.
It is coming up, exactly. You've got to start early.
And this is, like the perfect gift to send to someone or a child that you love, that you can't be there with them now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I just want to point out, Trina said it's just this or it's just that, but I think this is a really, really good prototype, and like you made it yourself and with your team, and it's really fantastic.
Awesome, thank you.
Let's not diminish our accomplishments.
Yeah,
absolutely. But we want to make sure we test. As you can see, you've just within 5 minutes there of kind of Lucy kind of concierging that discussion. You can see the chat light up. I can see you're very active on your notebook there. So that is when we would take those things on board and discuss them with the team, and maybe we change and we add everything that was discussed, and then we try that, certainly with a kind of a 2D thing. That's quite very simple to make those small changes and to have different links. So information's still coming through there. So thank you for that. What I might do is keep moving so that we'll kind of finish at 11:30-ish, and then maybe we'll have a little bit of triage time where people can have maybe a little bit of one-on-one if needed. It is your official break, so it is up to you. But as I said earlier, you can book a session with James, Lucy, or myself very simply. So, and we can also get you connected to Rosa as well without too many issues along the way. Let me just resume sharing my screen. Let me find my nav buttons. Where are we up to? So user testing. So that's kind of what we've just gone through now. And when we use a test, as I said, and as I said many, many times, I'm almost threatening sometimes to put tape over people's mouths to stop them explaining it to people, because that just does not happen in the real world. We want to look at the confusion on people's faces. There's actually some software around. I've heard that, you can actually film people and it can map what's on the screen and their facial expression. There's some AI in that space that's even looking at people's confusion when they're walking through your app. But we can do that at a super, super low fidelity way just by what we've done here, and to make a note of that and just keep testing. Let's not be satisfied with testing on 10 people. Let's really get out there. Let's test diverse people. Let's really find out who our early adopters are going to be. Who's that first sale that's going to go to? What do they look like, and what are they looking for? You see up on the screen here some really, really simple questions to ask people. They're very, very basic. We ask them what they like, what they change, what would they add. What could you leave out, you know, with the one there with the children's literature? What could we leave out of that and still achieve the same goal of selling that book to a person? You know, an MVP is all about having no superfluous stuff and just satisfying that base kind of requirement of an early adopter. Where do you see barriers in using this type of prototype? And a barrier could be, the example I often use is designing an app for a farmer on a little screen, but the farmer's out in the sun and he can't actually see the screen. They can't see the screen, sorry. So we need big icons because the sun is reflecting off the screen. So that's a small barrier that we would need to design around. So maybe if we're focused on kids purchasing, do we need to make it something that allows even the child themselves to make that purchase? So the barrier then would be the financial transactions. So how might we navigate around that? What would they achieve now to use the same outcome? So people are still currently, you know, they've been buying children's books for centuries. So we know that that can happen. So understanding all the different mechanisms that are in place to getting a book into the arms of a child, could be, you know, a community library or anything like that, knowing that whole ecosystem and understanding how your users are currently getting that book to the child. And kind of the same thing here for this case, how would you achieve that outcome without actually using an app? Okay, think about, you know, obviously we're talking about books, we're talking about Amazon. A lot of people want to make this massive amount of money per sale, but you look at Amazon, you know, you look at so many of the world's richest people, they've made money on kind of making little bits of money on massive scaled interactions rather than making big chunks of money on just a few transactions. But what you don't see here, just quickly, you don't see people asking what they hate. We're always looking to invite positive feedback only when we do our user testing. And once we've done our user testing, of course, then we iterate. I want to show you the Marvel Pop app up next. So for anyone that did some wireframe sketching, here's a real quick video. Again, I made in the Makerspace a MVP, minimum viable production, practicing what I preach, using the Marvel Pop app and how we can take photographs of our sketches and turn that into a super low fidelity app that we can broadcast around the world to anyone in our social networks. This is the Marvel Pop app. Now that we've drawn out all of our app screens, it's time to link them together using the Marvel Pop app. Let's launch the Pop app and start to take some photographs of each of our screens. Let's create a new project called Lucy. From here, it's about taking some photographs of each and every screen. Line it up so that it's nice and square, but we do get a chance to crop and rotate the end result to best suit our phone. Let's go on and do screens numbers 2, 3, and 4. Resist the temptation to start to draw in the canvas mode. We want to use your sketches. We want our users to see this low fidelity sketch development. It will encourage better feedback from our users when we do our testing. Final screen now, we are zooming in, hitting OK, rotating and crop. We've got our 4 screens. Now it's time to add some hotspots to link those screens together. Literally, we touch the screen, it goes red. We can zero in where we want that hotspot. Let's go and put a hotspot on screen 2. On the herbs button, this is going to link to screen number 3. On screen number 3, we are going to link to screen number 4. And on screen number 4, we are going to link the off button back to screen number 3. And that's it. That is one user journey through this app mapped out. So let's play that now. We hit the icon, we go to the herbs, we can turn that water straight on. That is our user experience mapped out for that variant through the app. We can now send this app to anyone in our contacts, and they can give us instant feedback and validation of our app design. Okay, so that is the Marvel Pop app. I didn't show you how to send it, but it's very simple. It's just hit the send icon and send it to anyone in your contacts. It's great, it's free, and what I love about it is it gets you sketching. I love sketching. You're using a different part of your brain when you're moving your hand around drawing, and it's your most creative self. So I would encourage you to take some of these learnings from this workshop, keep those sketches up, take those photos, send it out to all of your friends, all of your users that you might already know, to your community, and get them testing and get that feedback coming back so that we can then move forwards. You can get this from obviously the Play Store or the Apple variant of the Google Play Store. Just need to move on. 3, 2, 1. Then we talk about iteration. So taking that feedback, embedding that feedback into the design, and then evolving that design. It's not a linear thing. It's a circular way of developing a product. You can see there more vacuum cleaners, but also the kind of evolution of humankind there with the cardboard there as well. So we never just make a prototype and say that's it, putting it to the marketplace. We're not that good. No one in industry ever just makes a prototype and sells it. We want lots of testing, lots of learning, lots of iterations. You can see there also, again, very vacuum cleaner focused. So look, a few real quick rules for low fidelity prototyping. We just want the minimum level of detail in there. You saw from my model, just Nico pen, draw on your screen, whatever that may be. Work rapid, go for quantity over quality. Do not make just one prototype, make many so you don't fall in love with that one variant. Work right. We want to remember to focus on the key value proposition that we've identified that our early adopters want. We want to work cheap so that we can make very many variations without going bankrupt. Some of the big mistakes that I commonly see is only prototyping your first idea and getting attached to that prototype. You fall in love with it, wasting time explaining. I've mentioned that, don't give somebody a prototype and then explain their way through it. That's not how product development works. Prototyping without a purpose. What hypothesis are we looking to achieve with this prototype? Feeling discouraged by failed prototypes, don't. That's how we do it. I showed you some, icons of design and the amount of failures they had. They are all learnings. So never see your prototypes as a waste of time. Catalog your prototypes also. I'll come back to a pitching thing in a couple of minutes, but how might you tell your story to an investor that you have done all of these hard yards? You've done this the right way to get to this best thing. If you just show them that one glossy thing, they think that's great. That might be a fluke, or it may not resonate with the users. Being able to convince them that you've done these hard yards is very, very important. Just quickly, wanted to talk about innovation or imitation. Has anyone done this before? It's very, very simple just to go into Google Patents, which is available to anyone for free, and just Googling some of those keywords around your problem. So we can Google problem-based keywords or functionality-based keywords or value-based keywords, and finding out what is available, what is pre-existing, what is pre-patented. Just because you find that somebody else has already patented this idea, that does not mean you should cease and desist. That validates the fact that somebody else thinks this is a problem worth solving. So often that's a good thing. It's up to you to take that deep dive into that. But you also need to justify, why would somebody buy from your startup if there's already an existing product? So identifying that is a very important step to moving forwards. Where is my mouse gone? But, within a few minutes, I was able to Google, benchtop compost bins. You can see here, we've got all these all these various different ideas in various kind of states filed. They've all been filed, but maybe they haven't been finalized. And then, again, within a couple of minutes, I'm able to find another benchtop composting solution there. I've got all the drawings for it, even everything that's novel about it needs to be documented. So really investigating what has been prototyped and patented in the past is a great way of working out where your product can fit within the marketplace. How are you going to communicate your prototype? I mentioned just before, how are you going to showcase the fact that you've done lots of protests, user testing? How do you show your traction? So how might we best showcase our prototype in a pitch when we might only have 2 or 3 minutes to do that? We want to make it as visual as possible. Here's a great example of a bicycle. We can see here the value proposition is the fact that the bicycle changes with sliding tubes to a different size to accommodate a different audience of people. But what it doesn't show is people. Okay, so kind of Industrial Design 101 is always show human scale. Now, here's one way of doing it, but I think that's a little bit boring. It's actually got the anthropomorphic data there. That's not a human riding a bicycle. That's like a dummy. So we can do that better. It's actually a different product, but suddenly, even with a very simple silhouette here, we can see the human scale. We can see our user not quite using it, but about to get on and use it. And we can see that the product in its kind of compact form there. So, very simple way of showcasing the key elements, the human interactivity there of that particular design. Pitching with a real prototype, sometimes it goes wrong. Sometimes you claim you have bulletproof glass and sometimes it just quite isn't. But, the sales of this thing went through the roof just from having that exposure and just laughing that off when your prototype fails on stage. Sometimes that does happen. I've had some very nasty fails in the field with high important stakeholders. Laughing it off wasn't the best approach for the military customers, but just putting it out there, getting them testing it, getting them using it, showing it to them, showing that it's real, showing them the work that you've done is always very, very important. One of the great teams that we've worked with here, Team Yellow Box, you can see that is their yellow box from the 2018 Peter Farrell Cup. They came second in that. That's literally an esky or some type of foam box that they've painted yellow and put their branding on. So sometimes just having something simple on part of your pitch is very, very important to showcasing some of the work and development that your team has. Always like to showcase a bit of the makerspace. That is a photo of the makerspace right there. You can see all those wonderful bits and pieces. There's one of those 3D printers running in the room next to me home here. I call this MCIC Newtown campus. But if you do need some prototyping support, please do connect with my team. We can still help you out even during this lockdown period. But when lockdown lifts, want everyone to really understand the MCIC Makerspace is available for all UNSW students, staff, and alumni. So you can use this Makerspace basically once you've graduated for the rest of your life. So jump in as soon as we're allowed to. We'll run some inductions, get you trained up, and you can come and go for the balance of your life and make stuff. It doesn't have to be that which your startup's focused on. It doesn't have to be your research or your coursework. You can come in and make whatever you like. I got a small video. I'm going to skip over it, but UNSW Making is where your badge is going to land for your rapid prototyping session today. But within UNSW Making is a whole range of different bits and pieces, different learning modules, training modules for machines. It's all available for everyone there. There is a QR code. You can start the process of doing your online component of your safety induction if you scan that QR code and get a head start. So as soon as we open the doors again, you can be one of the first people in to do the practical component to jump in and use the Makerspace. Do need closed-in shoes. There's one of the 2019 new wave people who forgot to wear shoes. So I have one pair of gumboots in there. So we call them the gumboots, a shame, but you do need closed-in shoes is the only other thing you need to do. Look at all these wonderful machines. We've got laser cutters, water jet cutters, 3D printers, vacuum formers, CNC machines, injection molder, scanning equipment, sewing machines, overlocking machines, Festool woodworking equipment. Just recently got a embroidery machine, digital embroidery machines, or even if it's just in embroidering your company logo on your team apparel. You know, there's something in the makerspace for everyone. So please do check that out. Finally, this is my attendance code again, where we showed this one at the beginning. Maybe James can throw that link in the chat as well. So this will get you your badge from today's session. This is separate to the New Wave one that Kristen and Tori were talking about. I see James has put that in there for you now. And finally, if you want to book a meeting with me, there is my Calendly link. So maybe I could also invite James and Lucy if they have their Calendlys ready to go. They could type them in there. Remember, we're all have our specialties. So, you know, James and Lucy, biomedical engineers, but they also have some mad skills outside of that. James deals with a lot of musical-based stuff because he is a 4-time ARIA award-winning musician. He tells me to stop telling people that, but I think he likes it. Lucy, you want any ARIAs?
No.
It's a PhD under a belt, no big deal.
And Rose is also available. So just to clarify what's going on there, Rose is only very new to the team and working with us just as a part-timer, but certainly, you know, she's launched her own biomed startup, so I can connect you to Rosa also. So, and Natalie's somewhere there. Natalie's just one of our, Natalie is one of our super casuals as well. So again, if anyone is in the architecture space, we can connect you to Natalie as well. That's pretty much, well, it from me, team. I can see James and Lucy have thrown in their Calendlys. Mine is there as well on the QR code. I'm 4 minutes over, Kristen. That's pretty good for me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. If you want to give us a stop sharing so you can see everyone's faces, and I'm sure everyone's giving you a big clap and wave, saying thank you in their own way virtually. Oops, you can't see.
Oh, if everyone could turn their cameras on, that'd be delightful. I'll take a screenshot of you all. Let me go to the grid view, gallery view. Too many from one page.
Today, but something a little bit different than what we've had already. Or breakout rooms, there was fun stuff going on, but I was just stuck here in the main room.
There we go. I've got a shot of that. So I'm happy to hang around up until 12. I think most of my team will be too. We can have some little one-on-one discussions with everyone. Sorry, I saw there were a few more questions coming through. We weren't able to get to them all. It is rapid. You know, we're not obviously hoping that you have a fully working prototype by now, but, you know, these are some learnings that I want you all to go away and, you know, to keep developing on those prototypes.
Certainly, and I'm sure you'll see a lot of these women here booking in for their MCIC safety induction when we're allowed back on campus. Thank you so much again, James, Gregory, Lucy, Rosa, killed it. We loved it. Thank you. It's always
and Natalie.
Oh, and Natalie, so sorry. If anyone wants to stay back, please do. You know, we have a Founders Smorgasbord if you're interested in other programs post New Wave coming up at 12. So if you want to make that, you know, you can take this time to either go have some lunch or a coffee and come back at 12. If you want to stick around for a chat as well.
I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
Do we want to pause the recording, Kristen?
Might leave it on if it's okay. We'll just check and see who's left in the room. I'm guessing maybe the people who are left, give me a thumbs up if you want to stay and chat. Or if you're just maneuvering out. Okay, cool. We got one.
Sometimes people will struggle to find the leave button.
That's me.
Okay, well, for those who are staying, I might just leave it on just because this could potentially, if you're okay and comfortable with me keeping it on, we might have some good showcase conversations or footage.
I've got a question. If I might just share something, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll see if I can. Yeah. All right. I'll share my screen. This is just a sketch that I did in that session. Can you see that sketch?
Yeah.
So we've got this circular clothing economy project that we're working on, and it's sort of taking a few iterations, but this is one that we're looking at where we're actually, the service is part of the secondhand clothing shop. So this is the shop. Unfortunately, I missed a step, so you've got to go back here and then go back up again. But yeah, so that's the shop. Someone chooses a piece of clothing. It's broken or something needs repair. They take it to the guy in the shop. They look up a local repair place, and then I think you can read the rest. And so I guess my question is, like, this step 3 is probably part, because that's the service part of it, but there's also the app part of it. And I'm wondering whether, because the app itself can be business to business, or it can be customer to business, if that makes sense. And I'm wondering whether we should be concentrating on the business to business part of the app for this project, because I'm just worried about time, basically, and getting something, that's quite cohesive for the time that we have left of this program, whether we sort of stick to the business to business side of it, which I think is probably more unique than the customer side of things. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to get your opinion on it. I'm a bit vague. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. And look, this is excellent. If you've managed to, sketch that up within that session, then that's amazing work. So thank you for that. Look, I think, so just to explain, get it clear in my mind. So when you say business to business, so the one user will be like the secondhand store, and they will connect to, say, a seamstress as the other business, so that the person purchasing the garment is not actually interacting with your platform.
Not in this scenario, no. Yeah.
So what I think invite you to do is to maybe you've already done it, but map out like a bit of a systems map. So, and imagine the scenario in my mind. I live in Newtown and there's lots of secondhand stores. So if I go there, find a garment, so there's me, there's the Newtown garment shop. And if I find a garment that I think, I like, but I see it's got a hole in it, what is my mindset then? I can take it to the counter and say, I want this fixed. I then have to wait for the store to connect to another user, to a seamstress to give a quote. And so what am I doing? Am I thinking that might be an on demand, and I'll just browse for another 3 minutes while that quote comes back? Or, do I buy that garment on the proviso that I'm given like a login to this thing? Do I want to travel all the way to a seamstress, or do I want to leave it at that store and come back with it fixed for a pre-arranged price? That's probably, the best scenario. And what might be the best scenario ever for a damaged garment? I guess that would be if there was a seamstress in store, that I would get it instantly done and walk out with it. So trying to work out what every kind of stakeholder wants at every point. The seamstress probably doesn't want to be on demand, drop what you're doing. She's making a wedding dress for somebody and then she has to patch up an old pair of jeans. So what is their best scenario look like? B2B might be able to schedule that with them and have some oversight as to their calendar. Whereas B2C, like I probably might not get that full calendar planning ability as a walk-in customer. So I don't know, but that's how I would start to solve that problem.
Yeah, no, that's really good feedback. Thank you for that.
My pleasure. I see you've also got the bike and the car repair thing, which is also you know, very, very interesting. I know that I think it's still evolving in my head, but I think, you know, some car yards will sell a vehicle knowing that it needs to have repairs done, and they will offer to do those repairs, often in-house. So, you know, that's interesting there. What you're doing to the garment market here might actually exist in different marketplaces, maybe in something which is regulated like boating. You know, I go to buy a yacht from a yacht broker, but then it's deemed to be not, you know, within survey. So they will actually make sure that once I've agreed to buy it, that those repairs will be made to it to make it legally able. Cars are quite the same, legally allowed to change hands, change ownership, change of custody. So you may find there's similar-ish things happening in very different marketplaces.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, actually the bike and the car was transport, but that's okay.
Oh, see, there you go. There you go.
You've picked up something else with it, which is great.
Well, that's why we champion the drawings, because it allows me to bring in my own thoughts, where if you had just said, you know, logistics, ship, product, if you typed that would probably what you would type, and I would never have gone down that journey.
No, that's right. Exactly.
We want to leave the drawings nice and simple, and that's why I said, you know, these are great examples.
Thank you. Yeah, my team did also. Oh, Lucy, you've sent a join.
You don't have to join. I've just opened the rooms because I think one of the teams wanted some one-on-one feedback, so don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Who's going to go in there?
I think Natalie has gone in with one of the teams already.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, no, that really does help.
Look, I really like this. I think far too many clothes are discarded due to that one kind of blemish. And, you know, we look at jeans, and I know ripped, torn jeans are something which are sold in, you know, secondhand stores. Or tearing jeans is almost a rite of passage for a lot of people. But I recently sewed a big patch. I actually cut up a cushion. I have this massive patch on one of my, and I love it. It looks almost like a cowboy on one leg. You know,
that's right.
That's my point of difference, and you know, a little bit of hand stitching. I'm the son of a dressmaker, so.
Okay.
My mum, luckily, she's in a different state, and she can't critique my hand sewing.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And yeah, so it's sort of that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to keep clothing out of the waste stream, but we're also, being a regional city, I want this to be for regional cities to connect local businesses, because they're really vulnerable to to closing, and by diversifying what they offer, it will help to increase their resilience within the local community. And people really do. I'm in Launceston in Tasmania, so so people really do support each other, you know, and that's where this is going. So this is great. It's helping my thinking a lot. Yeah, and that terrific.
I'm very fascinated in the garment. Like I work a lot with sustainability based teams, and I know, you know, it's 3,000 liters of water that goes to make one t-shirt, which is enough water to sustain a human for 3 years. That's how much water intense. So I'm also wondering, and I shouldn't say this because I'm all about the MVP and just getting the base things, but imagine, you know, later on you could actually collect points of water, of liters of water that you've saved by every purchase or something. So just as a, I don't know, you trade that in or something, or just gamify it. You know, Gregory has saved 50,000 liters of water by, you know, repairing his jeans.
Well, actually, one of my other team members actually came up with exactly that. So I'll just share her screen. Can you see that now? The other one?
Yeah.
So we've called ourselves Redress. We're changing our name to something a bit more sexy than circular clothing. Yeah, so here on the last slide, she's saying, you know, you've saved X amount of dollars, but also minimized, you know, waste, kilograms of waste or something. So yeah, so she was looking at the customer to business side of things. So that's the app for that. So that when we split up and we did different things, because it is really complex, and this is what we're struggling with, is how, and I'm wondering whether we don't, you know, it's a really complex, you know, anything looking at sustainability, and the clothing industry is by its very nature, it's going to be really complex, and maybe we shouldn't be trying to simplify it. Maybe we should just go with the complexity and diversity of it and work with that. Anyway, that's another thing that I'm thinking about.
Just a quick note, Kirsty, I'm actually originally from Tasmania myself, and I have a lot of family and friends that do what you're trying to do in terms of buy secondhand clothing, but then give it to friends who know how to sew, fix it up. So if that can be simplified, then that's brilliant, because not a lot of people know how to sew anymore. So yeah, I know that Tasmania is a excellent market for you to start in, because a lot of my family and friends have this exact issue.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Rosa. That's really good feedback. And, you know, I actually talked to a small business in town that they're not there in food, but they were just saying, you know, like, you know, she just said, you're really on the money. That's what happens here. You know, our businesses work really closely with each other. And in fact, I'm working with this business to, you know, think about, you know, different things. And so, and I was thinking there are a lot of seamstresses and people just sort of working from home, and they could refashion the clothes. You know, it's not just about repairing, it's about actually redesigning them and making really funky things out of them, and doing all that sort of thing as well.
It's a nice small community there. Everyone knows everybody as well. So
yeah,
the business owners in general, I'm sure they all know each other and they can connect easily.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's what I'm wanting to do. It's just, how do we do it?
I watched Cruella last night. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Cruella. I watched it last night. I didn't realize it had such a heavy fashion industry take on it, but obviously Cruella was repurposing her mum's, you know, 1960s dress and stuff like that. So yeah, look, I think there's also some elements of, you know, like if I guess B2B is generally from like a heavy business to a heavy business or a small business, but you know, we've seen like the gig economy, you know, the Airtasker thing. So, you know, if you know, as Rosa said, you know, there's lots of, like my mum used to be working from home dressmaker who would get, you know, word of mouth or referrals from the local, you know, menswear store or something like that. You know, can they tender for work? Even, you know, if somebody says, you know, who can do it the quickest might be the best thing if we were just talking about repair on jeans, where it's not actually an artistic input, but putting it up there, you know, who can bid for it to make it the quickest. And, you know, maybe, you know, what is the value we're adding here? Are we saving the time it takes somebody to go buy a pair of jeans and then to walk around town saying, will you repair this for me? Is it time that is the key issue that we should be focused on? I remember being very heavily offended when I took a fairly nice pair of hiking boots to a boot maker who kind of said, I'm not touching them, mate, throw them in the bin.
Oh,
and
wow.
You know, they were multiple $100 I think Merrill boots, but he just turned his nose up at them. He was more interested in chatting to his mates. You know, he looked like somebody who just retired and thought he'd be a boot maker. He had no interest in repairing my boots for me because it would have taken too long, you know. So I actually ended up, unfortunately, having to dump them because every bootmaker I went to kind of said, no, go to this guy. And then constantly no one wanted it. Whereas I lived in a small town in Germany for many years, and I know they would have, you know, happily repaired it for, you know, for €12.
That's right. Yeah. And it's, I agree. I
think, as Rosa pointed out, there's perhaps a very different mindset in the smaller towns I saw recently, I don't know if it was Tasmania in general or just Hobart perhaps, but it was like one of the top 5 cities in the world to live after societal collapse.
Oh, really?
And we talk about pandemics and Armageddon and stuff like that. So
Yeah, well, apparently a few people are buying property in Tasmania so that they've got an address here. So when there's COVID lockdowns elsewhere, they can come here because they got an address.
That doesn't shock me.
But our premier's savvy to it now, so
yeah, we're firmly locked out at the moment.
So you're not allowed in, Rosa?
I'm not allowed in. My parents aren't allowed out. Well, they can, but they can't get back in again.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I've got the opposite. I've got my family in Sydney, so I can't.
Also, just on the secondhand clothing industry, I know you're saying like shops, but it's also a lot of people are buying online.
Yeah.
Clothing. Like I know when I buy clothes, it's all off Marketplace or Depop. So there's also something to be said in that area.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And yes, we have been thinking about that as well. I think yeah.
Not to complicate it though, it's just another area.
It is. And it's great. It's great. And it's how to tap in, because we did note that a lot of people are using Marketplace as a way of getting secondhand clothes and things. And there are some really good pop-up swap meets and stuff that are happening as well that are really good. Oh, well, thank you very much for that. That was really good feedback. Thank you.
Certainly a pleasure.
Well, yeah, we'll see you guys back. Oh no, you guys headed off for the day. See you.
Yeah, I think if there's no other questions for my crew, we might go grab some late breakfast.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Have a good one.
We'll have those badges issued to everyone in our attendance, Kristen and Tori, by COB today.
Okay. How many did you get, by the way?
I don't know. I'd need to log in and look, but I saw there was 56 people on the call. But sometimes there's typos and stuff, but I'd expect somewhere in the high 40s. We'll let you know.
I got, just so you know, I had 46 in my.
Yeah, that probably rings true because there's about 5 of us and 2 of you, so that's pretty close. Excellent. Well, thanks for having us. It's always a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing where these ideas land and in pitch night.
Yeah, it's exciting times. As we just mentioned, we can see a few of our favorite staff members from Founders have joined us for a very special Founders Smorgasbord event where you'll hear about our programs that we offer post New Wave. And I guess we'll kick right off with Lucas Hakewill, who's recently joined the team, and very excited to have him and his expertise. I'm sure a few of you have heard him prior to this or spoken to him prior. I know we had a few people reach out for you specifically, Lucas, so I'm sure you're quite familiar with some of these teams. So please take it away and tell us what you do.
Thanks, KP. Good afternoon, everyone. It's weird that it's already ticked over to afternoon. Wonderful to see you all here. As KP mentioned, it is lunchtime. So if you're eating along the side, please feel free. Go ahead. I think it's a good time to be grabbing something to eat. But I'd like to share with you something about the Peter Farrell Cup. But I thought I might just quickly start with what I call a Zoom storm, which is all we have to do is I'm going to ask you a question and you will type your answer in the chat, but don't hit send. Don't hit send until everyone's ready. I'll count us down and then we'll all hit send at the same time. So the question I'd love to ask you is, if someone tomorrow offered you $8,000 to take your idea further, I'd love to know, what would you do next? So I'll give you about 30 seconds. Have a think about it. I'd love to see your answers in the chat. but
Great.
don't hit send
Yeah.
yet. I'll tell you when to hit send.
I like it.
All right, 15 more seconds. What would you do with $8 grand? It's a nice round number. Okay, in 10, 9, 8, you're going to hit send. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Ah, amazing. Wonderful. We've got some websites. Ritu, would you be willing to share what would you do with your prototype? What would your brilliant prototype look like?
So I was just talking to Kristen and Vic that I'm in the process of making some financial education videos, and that would go on my website, and which I'm like needing money desperately for. Like, don't use too many resources.
8K would be amazing then.
Oh, 100%. It's more than my budget. So.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
That's really great. I'd love to hear from one more person. Kiati, would you be willing to share? I'd love to hear who would your first hire be?
Yeah, so I think talented team members are really important to like really drive a startup or any kind of business idea. And I think because my team is working on this idea called OzBuddy, so it's like a social community platform. And I think someone with a good background with creating those kinds of platforms, so like maybe a website developer would be the first hire.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And one more actually, because I just saw one answer that I really, really love. Christine, would you be willing to share what you wrote in the chat?
Yes, I can. My answer was ask them why they think the idea has potential and how their skills and experiences would help take it further. Because I think that if someone's investing, first I want to know like why they believe in it. If it's something that is aligned to my perspectives, potentially I'm more willing to partner with them. If it's something I didn't consider, maybe I even have more than I thought I did. And how their own experiences would help, because an investor is just more than their money. It's about like their connections and what they can bring to the table going forward as well.
That is such a wonderful answer, Christine. Thank you. And really something that's always a question worth asking. If someone's supporting you, what is it about what you're doing that really aligns with them, and how can they best help you? So thank you so much for sharing, Christine. It's a really wonderful answer. Well, the reason that I asked that question is that the Peter Farrell Cup is a competitive ideas competition that's open to UNSW students. So you have to have one current student in your team. That could be a higher degree by research, or it could be an undergrad or a master's student. And first prize for the ideas stage and first prize for the higher degree by research students, both of those prizes offer $8,000 in funding. So this is a really great program if you're interested in taking your ideas that you've worked on in New Wave further. So I'm going to quickly share a little bit. I know I've got till about 12:15. So I will show you a little bit about the Peter Farrell Cup, and hopefully we'll have a bit of a chance to quickly ask some questions as well. Now, how's my screen looking? Can you all see that? Amazing. So as I said, PFC, it's a competitive program for idea stage startups. So actually, we're not looking for people who have incorporated a business, who are really far along. We're really looking for people who are still at that idea stage. In a way, I kind of hope none of you are eligible by the time we get to PFC. I kind of hope you've made the progress even beyond where PFC is willing to accept you. But if you're still working around your ideas, if you're still thinking about what that looks like, then this is a really great program for you. We, much like New Wave, offer education and support to help you take your ideas further. And at the end, we have this wonderful pitching competition where you're able to compete for a prize pool of about $20,000, which has been very generously donated by the Farrell Family Foundation. We generally accept 50 teams into the Peter Farrell Cup, so it's pretty huge. And at that final pitch night, we have 10 teams who are pitching in that final pitch night for that prize money. I'd love to show you a little bit from 2020. You'll see that all the workshops were in person. I'm really hoping that we can do some things in person by the time we get around to PFC, but we'll see how we go. That didn't have audio, did it? 1 second.
Faintly, I think I maybe heard something from. Yeah, it played for that very brief second. I did hear.
Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you're hearing it okay.
No.
Oh wait, I heard it again.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe it's just a video. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
The Peter Farrell Cup is an early stage ideas competition for current students and higher degree researchers. The competition has been incredible for launching some of UNSW's best startup ideas. Let's check out what everybody's up to.
So this is a two-day bootcamp where we learn all the fundamentals, outlining the problem, who our audience is, make sure we have structure so that we can move forward with our business.
When we came to Peter Farrell Cup, we really had just an idea. We didn't have really any runs on the board in terms of a concrete business plan, but what we've found since coming to this boot camp and going through the training, talking to the mentors, is that we've really been able to distill our idea into a list of really actionable items.
Coming to Peter Farrell Cup, you have such an availability of amazing resources and experience in the startup industry, and the wealth of knowledge that's in the room is really the big attraction.
What I've really got out of the workshop so far is that there's a huge amount of idea validation that needs to happen before the first line of code. But Dan and I were at the beginning of our startup journey, and we saw that this program was aimed at companies at our stage, pre-investment. Although we're all university students here, this is a really serious endeavor as well. Everybody here wants to succeed as an entrepreneur and as a founder.
We want to. All right, I won't make you watch 5 minutes of that, but those videos are available on our website, and I will share some links to those so you can see a little bit more about what PFC is all about. I thought I'd quickly share with you, now we haven't finalized the dates for next year's PFC, but I thought I'd share this year's PFC so you get a bit of an idea of the timing. So basically, we're looking at that PFC starts pretty early in the year. We'll actually have applications opening, it looks like, in January. And then round about May is when that final pitch competition happens. So you've got a bit of time to think about whether this is a program that you're interested in. And over the program, you'll have several weeks actually to spend time refining your ideas and refining your pitch. So I suppose if you found New Wave fantastic and you wish that it was longer, I think PFC would be a really great place for you to take your idea further at UNSW. We've had some wonderful teams who were really successful in PFC. So this is the first place prize for the idea stage startup. TeachFlows is an edutech company. They're developing a product that helps teachers develop interactive worksheets that grade themselves. So really saving a lot of time for teachers who might normally have to be grading every single worksheet that a student has completed. Himanshu on the left there is a first year uni student. So you can really make pretty great waves even at a pretty early stage. We also had first place for higher degree research students was Beagle. So Beagle is developing what's essentially a breath test, which can act as a diagnostic for lung cancer. So it's an early diagnostic, but it's really non-invasive. You just have to breathe into their device. At the moment, the way that lung cancer is diagnosed is quite a bit more difficult and more invasive. So that was a fantastic team, Diana, Peter, and Merrin, who came through and won that first place. So both of those teams, they won the 8K. Now there's one other team that I wanted to share, which I know you heard from Holly earlier on I think in the info session. So Club Melon was a part of New Wave in cohort 6, I believe. And they recently came through the Peter Farrell Cup finals in 2021. They've developed this radically adjustable sports bra designed especially for plus size women, solving this problem that 67% of Australian women are plus size and only 6.7% of clothing retailers cater to those sizings. So I just wanted to share a few examples. As I mentioned, people who are eligible, you have to be a team of between 2 and 5, led by a current UNSW student, and you're pre-revenue and you haven't had more than like $3,000 worth of funding. You haven't incorporated as a business. So we're really looking at that early idea stage. And I thought I'd pause there and see if anyone's got any questions. I'll stop sharing my screen. I can see some notes in the chat. Okay, a few questions here. Is PFC open for UNSW alumni as well? So the one thing is you do have to have a team leader who is a current UNSW student. So that is one area where we're a little bit less open to alumni. As long as one of your team leaders is a current student, absolutely. And I know some of you or some of the people who were applying to New Wave also had co-founders who were men. More than welcome to join you in PFC as well. Other workshops and sessions outside of full-time work hours? Look, we haven't scheduled the workshops yet, and we'll certainly be looking at, especially if we're looking at a virtual environment, how we can best fit that in to people's other commitments. Is the judging criteria for PFC the same as New Wave? That's a really great question. Probably not one that I can answer immediately off the bat. I'm willing to say that they're probably quite similar and that your experience of developing your ideas in New Wave and of being assessed and supported by this team would put you in really good standing to be a successful PFC entrant. Any other questions? Kristen, any fact checking? How'd I go?
Right. And I think every New Waver that applied to PFC after New Wave got in. I mean, that's because their application had probably carried more weight because they completed New Wave and, you know, they did the problem validation and everything that they needed to prove that they had a concept. So amazing. Thank you so much. I guess you have a Coaching Connect link as well. So post-program, if you wanted to book in with Lucas in some coaching sessions, you can find his link in the coaching gallery.
Absolutely. Would love to see any New Wavers. And for Cynthia, who's asked how long the program runs, it's a little bit under 2 months, I believe. but we'll be looking at the final schedule and how that works if we're working in a virtual world as well.
Really awesome program. It's amazing. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristen.
All on through. I think Melissa Pai, I think I saw her. Do you want to come online and say hello? Our 10X program manager of the agnostic program. Welcome.
Hey everyone, and thanks for having me, Kristen. It's funny when we do these things, it feels like we're on like a talk show. It's like, thanks for having me, Kristen. Thanks for having me. Hey, welcome everyone. I hope you've enjoyed your first week at New Wave. It is a particularly exciting program, and we do actually see people apply from the New Wave program into the 10X Accelerator program. So I'll give you a quick overview of the program that I run. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. That's okie dokie. So I'm the program manager of the UNSW 10X Accelerator program. We're on our 6th cohort at the moment, and this is the 4th one that I have actually run for the Founders Program, and it's considered our flagship program. So we take the high potential startups, so people that are already past their idea stage, have committed to their startup and are on that fundraising journey. So they're the teams that we look at for the program. Give you a quick overview of how it works. So about the stats. We launched it in 2018. We're in the 6th cohort, as I mentioned now. We've had over 47 startups go through the program. This time around, we did a 5-week pre-accelerator program where 25 teams were invited to participate in that program. And then we are currently in our 10 weeks intensive period where we invited 6 industry agnostic teams to do that. When we talk about 10X, I manage the 10X program with the industry agnostic teams. And after me, you're going to hear from Bester, who manages the program with the health team. So we have 6 streams that run through that. The benefits that they get is that we open up our networks through to them. So our network of inventors, our network of investors, our network of inventors, here we go again, mentors, so investors and mentors, and subject matter experts that can help them along their journey. We also provide them with content. So each week we meet with the teams and we bring in a range of speakers to help them, anything from growth marketing to founder fundraising journeys to how angel investors work, anything that's getting them ready to help them raise money. And this program will have probably over 90 speakers that we actually bring into the program to help support them with their knowledge and their learning. Another big thing that the program offers, and New Wave, you'll get this as well, is that accountability. So you'll have a cohort that keeps you accountable for learning and growing and moving through that process and that journey with your startup. In 10X, we also provide each of the teams, successful teams, with $20,000 investment on a safe. And all of this adds up to getting our teams investment ready so that they can go on to their next raise and continue to grow and scale their business. Just like Lucas, I'm going to show you a quick video so you get a feel for what happens in the program and you'll get to meet some of the participants of that. So let's hope this video works. Can you hear that, KP? We've had an incredible diversity in the types of startups that we've got. Everything from drone technology to giving robots a human sense of touch to actually educating school-age kids with the skills of the future. And we provide them with opportunities to connect in and understand everything from raising money to grants to branding to storytelling. So the whole gamut of skills that they actually need to be able to develop a startup and actually grow and scale that startup.
So the framework I want to take you through is something that is called victim, player, knower, learner.
The problem with B2B is like you work so hard to just get the meeting, so hard. And then you get the meeting and you're so excited and you go in and you start pitching and you forget to ask what their problem is.
So what I'm going to try and do today is to using a term sheet, because I think it's a really good tool to talk through the process of raising capital.
It's actually been really great to have a purpose and to have a structure.
We meet on Mondays to discuss metrics. Wednesdays we get in guest speakers. We have EAR sessions on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, and we have additional bonus sessions on a Friday as well.
I think the thing that we've really gotten out of this program that we haven't had before is that interaction with other founders.
It was a year ago that we first pitched Giveable, and back then it was really just a concept. Fast forward 1 year and we now have the team, we have the tech, and we now have some wonderful early partners to help us grow and scale the platform. So well done. I know it's a really tough journey, but it's definitely worth it.
I'm absolutely mind blown by the amount of support that we get from the startup ecosystem and community. They're so willing to give back and share what's worked, what hasn't, the good, the bad and the ugly.
What 10X is trying to achieve, which is getting, great ideas from university researchers, students, and also alums, and get those into the world. So you always get a really interesting mix of founders.
We've always been very technically focused, so what we like to try and sell is the fact that we've made this great technical product. But one of the mentors was actually chatting to us and they said, boys, you've got to talk about the value proposition. I mean, what are you actually doing? What we've done now, I think, has got a much better sense of actually selling to a customer what value they're actually going to get out of it. We're going to save them money.
Biggest piece of advice I got out of it was just trying to solve simple problems simply.
The most useful part of the Founders Program for Contactile has been the many introductions and conversations that have come from those introductions with, be it mentors or advisors or potential customers or other startups or just anyone and everyone in the space that we're working in.
The most rewarding thing about being an entrepreneur in residence is seeing how the teams gain confidence, they explore new realms, they develop their ideas together with you, and each week you can really feel the progress they're making.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, and it's no different for a startup. This program would not be possible without the support from so many people. And I'd especially like to thank our generous donors, Mr. Maha Sinatambi and Dr. Wong Fong Fui, who've made the UNSW Founders 10X Accelerator a reality. Cool. So that was a little bit about our program that we ran last year in cohort 5. And now I'd like to introduce you to a couple of founders, Francis and Naomi. And Francis, you would have seen in that video again, so that video before. So they're co-founders and they participated in the New Wave cohort 3 back in 2019 with a brand and a product called Good Gives. And what their business was, their core focus and their kind of North Star is around sustainability. And Good Gives was a platform where people could go on and all contribute to somebody's birthday present, and any money that was left over then got donated to a charity of choice. And what this avoided happening was the child getting the same birthday present from many different people. So getting 50 sets of Play-Doh, for example, and then what does the parent do with, the different sets of Play-Doh? So rather than getting, 5, 10, 15 sets of Play-Doh, everybody could contribute to a bike, for example. So that was all about sustainability, and that was the effort that they were doing in terms of how to make it a more sustainable future. They were actually the winner of the New Wave program that year. Fast forward to 10X cohort 4, they participated in that program. So they went through the application process and they were successful, and they are incredible to have as part of the program. Francis lives in Sydney. Naomi was living in Singapore. For the time of the duration of the program, Naomi came out and lived in Sydney so that she could fully immerse herself in that program. So they participated in cohort 4. But not with Good Gives. In week 2, they actually pivoted, still focused on their North Star of sustainability, but instead of having a B2C business, they've created a B2B business. And what they do is provide an easy way for organisations to track and source sustainable providers. So it's like a procurement platform. Since launching their B2B business, they've had a cracker over time. After 10X, they were accepted into the Mirvac Impact Accelerator. They were the winners of the Accelerate 2020 Venture Program, which was hosted by X15 Ventures. And they took home a prize pool of more than $300,000 from CommBank and Microsoft. Also in 2020, they were named Optus Future Maker. So an incredibly awesome team. It all started with New Wave, that it's resulted in an incredible business that they are actually providing. So that's what I wanted to share with you, a little bit about 10X. We're currently in our program at the moment. We will run another program probably about mid next year as well. So that's the time for the next opportunity to be involved in 10X. If you've got your eyes set on 10X and our flagship program, smash out what you're doing in New Wave, get involved with Peter Farrell Cup, and then sign up for our coaching sessions, and all of that will get you ready to be able to apply for our 10X program. So that's all I wanted to share with you. I'd love if you've got any questions about what we do with 10X and about that opportunity. Anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat yet, but I'm sure they're all typing questions. Or come on, turn your mics on and have a chat to us in person. Don't be shy. What stage of your startup should you aim to be to make the most out of 10X program?
Yeah, 100%. Because it's a competitive process to get in, it's going to depend on who else applies at the time. But essentially, we're looking for teams that want to raise money. And raising money is not the only strategy for growing your business. I need to say that probably the best strategy for growing your business is customer revenue. But if you're looking to raise money to help you scale and get that rapid growth, firstly, so looking to raising money, pretty much committed to your startup. So it's not a side hustle anymore. We do look for problem solution fit and product market fit. We look for prototypes and MVPs to happen as well. But probably what's really important is having a unique insight. So how are you going to solve this problem, and why does this problem need to be solved, and what a unique insight you have around that. So that's probably, does that answer your question, I hope?
And what is the timeline for the next program?
About mid next year. So we're just planning that all out at the moment, running this time around, we did a pre-accelerator phase, which was 5 weeks. And then we had a month of doing interviews to select the successful teams that did the 10X program. So figuring all that stuff out at the moment and looking what makes sense with the rest of our program. So probably around mid next year, I think.
Great. And does it have to be one minimum current student like the PFC?
No, it's a great question. Student, staff, or alumni. As one of the co-founders on the team. The other thing that we look for in 10X is that you've got a co-founder, so 1 or 2 people on the team. It's great if one of them is tech, and it's great if one of them is kind of that business focused or that marketing / business focus as well. The reason why we say that is it is an accelerated program, and it's designed to help you move really, really quickly. And if you've got that skill set on the team, you're going to be able to move a lot faster than if you're a solo founder.
Okay, any other questions? I think that's all. Thank you, Mel. And again, Mel has a coaching link in the coaches gallery. So yeah, eventually we had to book in with her and get her advice as a subject matter expert and a really, really long career in startups as a founder and, program management and marketing and storytelling, right, Mel?
Marketing, storytelling, and pitch coaching, presentation skills. So that's kind of my superpower, my sweet spot. So please book in a session if you'd like anything in that area, or just generally anyway.
Great, thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward to watching your showcase in a couple of weeks or hearing about it when that.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we have Besta One. Come on down. Besta is the actual queen of introductions, and I'm not so great at them, but yeah, if you haven't met her before, welcome, and looking forward to having and hearing about 10X Health.
Thanks so much, Kristen. It's awesome to be part of the New Wave programs. It's such a fantastic program. I've already met a couple of you and heard really, really great feedback. So yeah, thanks for having me. So I'd love to tell you a bit about Health 10X, which is the program that I'm managing at the moment alongside Melissa. So there's the agnostic stream and then the health stream. We also take in 25 health teams in the pre-accelerator and then select 6 teams go through the accelerator, which we're currently running week 9 at the moment with our demo night coming up soon. I will share my screen as well, just so give you guys an overview. So Health 10X, we've partnered with the George Institute for Global Health, and this is a national program and it's open to everyone. So you don't have to be part of UNSW to be in Health 10X. And we focus on startups developing affordable and scalable solutions for major health challenges. In particular, we look at the growing burden of non-communicable diseases and injury in underserved populations. And we work with the George because they have a fantastic global network, and they also have fantastic research divisions as well, which we leverage. So as mentioned, we work alongside the agnostic stream. We attend all of the agnostic sessions. I've just put up the schedule so you can get an idea of the different types of topics. So there's the agnostic stream, which is a team and problem customer, product market and business model with the lens of investment readiness. And then on Thursdays, we focus on some health specific modules like healthcare emerging markets, health economics, health financing, regulatory requirements, and clinical trials. In the accelerator phase, it gets a lot more intense during the accelerator, and hence why Mel mentioned commitment to the program. We do require about 10 to 12 hours in the week for this content and engagement. So we have the Monday stand-ups where we hold you accountable for the goals each week and what you achieved. More content around capital raising, customer acquisition and partnerships. And then we have those health modules as well. So looking at reimbursement pathways, quality management systems. We also look at various global markets such as India, US, we did Israel this year as well. We used to go to the US and India, unfortunately we can't anymore, but we still connect with many people overseas. There are lots of advantages in that as well. And then one thing about the accelerator is you have a dedicated entrepreneur in residence. So we've got Hayley, who's currently going through an IPO. She's had multiple successful health startups, and she'll work with you one-on-one every week to develop your businesses as well. I was going to share just really quickly our current cohort, just so you see who's in our accelerator. So we've got really exciting technologies such as Neuroflux, monitoring stroke patients to give real-time insights to limit brain injury and death. This is a really high unmet need because stroke is a leading cause of death and it happens every 19 minutes. And this one's unique because there's currently no way to continuously monitor stroke patients. And then we've got Autonomy, which is an intelligent platform that automates the creation of regulatory branded packaging assets. And we're really excited about this because it's a really significant pain points, because packaging mistakes in the medical industry can result in fines, millions in losses, health risks, patients and lawsuits. And they take something which usually takes 6 months into 1 day. Then we've got Synbiot, which is a bioprocess system allowing for on-demand production supply of customized pharmaceutical products. This is a huge, rapidly expanding multi-billion-dollar industry, synthetic biology, and it also has many societal benefits, making them more accessible and affordable. Then we've got Pantea, which is a mobile health tool which increases communications between specialists and their patients. And in order to reduce recovery-related readmissions, they're very patient-centric compared to competitors, looking at the clinic and the consumer-facing side, and they've already generating revenue with 3 surgeons. We've got Elasto Bio, they're engineering synthetic bacteriophages to combat chronic wounds that prevent wound healing. It's groundbreaking technology, and it's a low-cost, portable and accessible solution. And finally, we've got Humane, which is an online platform that helps families of people with disability self-manage their finances, understand services with such as NDIS. Currently, families are either underspending or overspending, and if they get audited, they're in some serious trouble. So a great tool there, and currently they've got over 200 families on the platform. So fantastic teams, which we love, but unfortunately we don't have many women, as you probably have seen, so we need more awesome women from New Wave to come into the health program. I just wanted to share some alumni. So we've had 9 health teams we've invested in previously before this year. We've had over 80 health teams in the pre-accelerator as well. This is Dr. Sarah Crow, who was in the accelerator last year. She was the winner of the pre-accelerator showcase, which, by the way, that's $15,000 in prizes, along with the and then if you're in the accelerator, you get that $20,000 safe. She won the Australian Technologies Competition for Global Social Impact. So what she does is create a system to affordably test your vision. So 1 billion people in the world at the moment have blurry vision because they don't have access to affordable glasses and testing. So she's created this kit here. She's already dispensed over 1,000 glasses. So really, really inspiring woman. And she got a lot of the program, including meeting lots of amazing people. And how am I going for time? And I want to also show Kelly as well, who's part of 23 Strands. So they unlock the power of your DNA. So they just use 1 blood sample to be able to tell you about your disease risk and your suitable medication, looking at your DNA. And they got lots of other programs too. And all the past participants have had a great time, and they said lots of great things. So any questions? And if you're not in the health space, we always love introductions. So if there's anyone that you know who's got a health startup or technology, yeah, please send them our way. Are there any questions? Oh, thank you for the non-communicable disease definition. Any other questions?
I have a question, Beste.
Hey, Meta.
Hi. I looked at the like Health 10X application form and was kind of scared away by how many questions they asked me, because it was like quite a comprehensive process. Like there was like, you know, like upload your pitch deck, like that was a lot, and I didn't even have my company formed then. And so I was just wondering, like, just to figure out, like, do you need all of that stuff, or is it just like if you like, just what level can you be at to join? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, so we do, yeah, it is quite comprehensive, but I think it's a great experience even just applying, because it makes you think about every single aspect of your business. And in terms of the company forming, we only require you to have officially an ACN if you come into the accelerator program space, because that's how we pay you that safe investment. We do have a wide range of startups. So some of them are not as developed. They're still putting together their proof of concept, whereas others do have revenue. So it is, with the health teams, it is quite broad. But what Mel mentioned earlier about having that unique insights, the team, how committed and dedicated they are, and what kind of specialty and skill set, I guess, expertise that they have as well. So there are so many, and I guess it's also very comprehensive because we look at so many different parts. It's not just traction that we look at. We will look at the market opportunity, the need, the team, the business model. Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of different
I just wanted to like
definitely apply.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that, because like we're pretty like open here in New Wave, so we're just like very honest about what we're feeling and stuff. And so I just like, for anyone who's wanting to apply, don't get scared away by the application form. I'm sure it'll be amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for saying that. Definitely. And we also do use the pre-accelerator the application form is just the one thing that we look at, but we'll see how you're doing in the pre-accelerator, how much you're putting in. So it's not just that application form as well. Yeah. Sorry, Kristen.
I was going to say, just if as well, if people want, they can book in with a coach and get, support and advice to help them with their application. So you don't have to do it alone. If you are having questions or doubts, we're definitely have the support here for you. And of course, apply. We've got the health stream and the agnostic stream. So, whatever your idea is, it'll fit into one of those two. And it's one application form for both programs, right? And
yeah, exactly. So I think we had some questions about mental health, and sometimes that fits into the health space and sometimes that fits into the agnostic. That's probably the one area where we kind of, it really depends on how you're approaching it. So yeah, you do that one application and then we'll be able to gauge which program's more suitable, but definitely apply either way.
We did have this time around a company called At One. And it's a meditation app, but using virtual reality. And they applied for the health stream. And Besta and I had a meeting together and worked out how can we support them best? Is it through the health stream or is it through the industry agnostic stream? And they've ended up coming through the industry agnostic stream for that. So one application, we'll figure out the best way to support you for that.
And also we are quite open between the streams. Like we work together as actually one big cohort, even though we've just presented them separately, and we invite the agnostic teams to come into the health topics as well if they're related. So At One was just in the health investor session this week. So yeah, we're very, very open in that way.
Would you just quickly maybe be able to share what you do with Wings and what you introduced into our programs, something that I think would be nice to do this week for New Wave? Do you want to explain how they work?
Wings?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so every week, just as a check-in, we discovered that, startups it's so hard, and a lot of founders, because there's just so much going on, sometimes their achievements get kind of pushed under the rug. So we wanted a way to every week to share the wins and see what different teams are doing, but also understand the learnings around it as well. And that's where we also wanted to bring in the insights. Always be selling, always be asking. We added in the needs. What do you need from your amazing cohort? There's so much knowledge to be tapped into just from each other. And then just again, going to, startups being quite challenging, just reminding ourselves of what we're grateful for and what we do have and all the support that we have. And so that's where that gratitude piece came in as well. And so each of those components formed into Wings, and then that's how we did our check-ins every week.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I can see Myrna's holding her chest. She's incredibly touched by it. So I think we have to introduce it for New Wave into the Slack channel this week. Thank you for coming in. And yeah.
Thank you, Kristen. One more thing I was going to say. So I also run the Angel Investors program. This is with AGSM, and sorry, I'm going over time, but we want more women to be angel investing as well. So book a Coaching Connect sometime with me and I'll tell you more about that as well.
Yes, it's amazing. So that's, I'm sure you could pretty much you probably have another couple of minutes. I don't think Phil is planning a long Coaching Connect spiel. So if you want to just briefly go over when the next one's program's running, then we can.
Sure. So the next one's in November, mid-November. We are converting that one to online currently as well. So it was originally 3 days intensive. It's now looking to be a 4-week program. And it's all about understanding the opportunities in angel investing in startups, evaluating all the opportunities and putting together your portfolio with that. So yeah, it's really, really interesting because a lot of people, I think there are a lot of barriers to it, but there's actually a lot of opportunity out there as well. So, and the reason we put that together is actually to help founders because a huge part is capital raising. And so we wanted to grow the community of angel investors so that our founders could pitch in front of them and raise more capital. So it's for you guys.
Fantastic. again, another amazing coach that you can book in with. So again, a lot of background experience in startups, but angel investing being, that's her side gig as well. So, can give you so much advice, more than you'd normally get, I think, from a typical program, which is pretty amazing. We have her on our team. We have our last speaker, Phil Doran. Are you in the room?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me, everyone.
Welcome. Welcome to Cohort 8.
Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll be super quick. I do actually have some slides for what it's worth, but I know everyone here is largely familiar with Coaching Connect. I recognize a lot of names here from the actual info session, or people that I've actually had coaching sessions with themselves. But give me a second here. I'll just share some slides because... Can I confirm that everyone can just see that? Cool. Hang on, I'm just going into the main screen. We good, Kristen? Yep, cool. All right. So what Coaching Connect? Right. It's how do we describe Coaching Connect? I guess it's almost your starting point for anything entrepreneurial. If you're going to do something entrepreneurial, if you're looking to found a company, and you're looking for support, and you possibly don't know where to start, you're going to come to UNSW Founders, and you're very likely, in most cases, you're probably going to enter the Coaching Connect program. As I said earlier, I actually recognize a lot of you from the info sessions, and then quite soon after, I actually took a couple of coaching sessions with you. So often you'll come to UNSW Founders, and you might have a problem area that you're working on. Maybe you want to find a new way of communicating with surgeons in the hospital, or maybe you're looking at giving people access to different gourmet local food providers, or perhaps you're looking to revisit the way we deliver women's healthcare, and it gets really, really scary at times, and we actually don't know what to do, but we know we want to create a bit of difference in the world, and there's actually people here that can actually support you, and UNSW Founders is that place for that, and the Coaching Connect program is our delivery vehicle for that as well. Many of you have actually seen this slide in the past, and everyone else, my fellow colleagues here at UNSW, just presented on their own respective programs, and the one thing I just wanted to show us all visually how it all sort of fits in, and how sort of Coaching Connect sits underneath all of that. So whether you're at that explorative phase, or whether you're actually looking to really accelerate up, or you're looking at the creative side, whether you're curious, you've got that idea, or you're really looking to grow that startup, a Coaching Connect is available to you year round. It never sleeps. There's no start, there's no finish date. How are you eligible for Coaching Connect? You're a student, staff, and alumni with an idea or an existing startup or business. You can come into the Coaching Connect program, and you'll get access to all of our coaches. Many of you have already had these conversations with our coaches as well, and I'll give us a snapshot of the gallery in a second. It's one-to-one. I guess it's free. Yep, it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything, and Coaching Connect helps you help yourself. We have a way of guiding you through our collective knowledge. We've figured out a methodical approach from helping you from that idea inception, through to testing, through to that magical product market fit, international growth, and beyond, even all the way through to IPO, or in actual facts, and capital raising as well. And Besta is our actual expert coach on capital raising as well, and she can be booked. All right, 1 second here. So this shouldn't be brand new to anyone on this call. I don't need to deep dive into this too much. Pretty much everyone on this call has probably seen this slide, because I've either seen you at the info session and you've applied for this program, which means you're registered, which means you have access to this portal where you can go and look at all the different respective coaches, their areas of expertise, and you can figure out how they can help you. And it's been it's been quite exciting to actually see a lot of people in this actual program take up this opportunity to actually have one-on-one sessions with coaches as well. It's been quite cool. You've all been given a mentor in this program. We have UNSW Founders is very fortunate to have access to a whole bunch of voluntary mentors who want to give back. They've seen a lot of success in their own career, and they've been helped along the way. They've been in your seat, and they're at a position in their career now where they want to give back. So if you've been matched up with a mentor in this particular program, which I'm pretty sure you have, those mentors have come through the Coaching Connect program. And future Coaching Connect, what does that look like? It means if you're registered with us, you can actually go into something that looks pretty much like this, like our coaches portal, and you'll start to begin to have access to all of the other mentors. And then based on their different areas of expertise or problems you're looking to solve, you can actually go and talk to one of these mentors where you're at, and in an ad hoc basis, whether that's selling intellectual property, some sort of strategic go-to-market strategy, et cetera, et cetera. I know I'm running out of time. I'm going to be quick. Another thing, Kristen, just cut me off if you need to, because I know everyone knows about it. So another thing that we're big on here at Coaching Connect is community and founders helping out founders. I really, really like this photo because this is a session that Pasha took. I can't remember what he was doing here. I think he was talking about product management. Pasha is one of our more successful entrepreneurs who's come all the way through from Coaching Connect, the Peter Farrell Cup, the 10X Accelerator program, back into Coaching Connect, Y Combinator. All the while he was helping out younger founders. So a big narrative of Coaching Connect is matching up founders who are a few stages ahead of you. So founders talking to founders. Where we're big on peer-to-peer learning, and especially those founders who are tackling who are playing in similar industries as well. Another thing Coaching Connect offers is our perks program. I should already say that this particular slide is already out of date because the perks program is dynamic. It's always being updated. It doesn't sleep, and there's always a new offering. Some of the biggest ones we've got there is AWS and HubSpot. Why does the perk program exist? It exists because we want to be able to help you get through your founder journey without it costing you a lot of money. There's a whole bunch of tools and services here that'll help you probably in some ways validate and launch your idea as well. And this combined with a coach and a bit of strategic thinking to help you can help you help yourself go a long way in sort of validating your idea and beyond. And that is about it, KP. I will stop there. But that's the Coaching Connect program. How do you get access to the Coaching Connect program? Most of you already know how to get access to the Coaching Connect program, so I won't deep dive into that. And you've already got a mentor, and all of you are already submitting those mentor meeting templates after meeting with your mentor. That's actually a function of the Coaching Connect program as well. So even though those of you who don't know it, you're already part of the Coaching Connect program. So welcome aboard.
Quick question about the perks. So to unlock a perk, you don't just email a coach or a program manager for a perk. You book a meeting, and in that meeting you get access to it.
Yep. All roads lead to booking a coach. If you got your eye on a perk, go and talk to a coach. They'll talk to you about probably why you need that perk and how it's going to help you along your journey, because they may have a better offer. But yeah, it's always best to go and talk to a coach.
And question, is David on the Coaching Connect booking platform?
He is, but by referral only. He's the only one that you can't book on your own. So a coach will refer you and intro you to David if you're ready for David.
And yeah, what is the criteria to be ready for David?
It's pretty loose. It's down.
Sorry, I can speak to it, Phil, unless you.
Oh, go on. No, you go.
Yeah, so I did speak with David about this the other day, because as much as you would have met him in the New Wave launch event, he's very impressed by all of you, and he would love to connect with all of you, but his time is very limited. So what he's basically said is that he is the sort of person who is great when you've already established your problem and your solution, and you know your vision for your business, and he is fantastic at connecting you with the people that would get you to that next level. So in terms of being able to network and put you through to the right person, he is the sort of person to speak to at that point. If you wanted to practice pitching your pitch deck and that sort of thing, probably not. But when it comes to partnerships and getting investment and that sort of thing, David would be able to help you out.
Yep. So just to summarize all of that up, I think the best way to get to David is via another coach, and they will work with you and figure out if you're ready for David, basically.
But do the work for them. If you want a connection to David, you need to justify why and how it's going to help you, whether it's a connection to what industry, and show that you're ready for that step. Because as you know, Director of Entrepreneurship, as we just mentioned, we can't just go to David and say this person wants to meet you, and that doesn't mean you get a referral. We need that supporting evidence that this would be a beneficial meeting. So I guess that's probably the number one question I get. So thank you for answering that one for me. And thank you for coming in. Again, Phil can be booked through Coaching Connect himself. You heard on Monday, he's been a founder of it was a food tech company, catering tech. What would the industry be?
Yeah, food tech. Yeah.
Yeah, again, advised hundreds of startups through Coaching Connect. So not just that industry, but just a plethora of industries that he's advised on. So that's all for the Founders Smorgasbord. It is now lunchtime. Thank you very much for joining us.
Just one last thing. So if you were here on Friday, you'll have seen that we announced we have a social trivia night this week. So this is opt-in, it's not compulsory, but we'd love to see you there. I'm just going to drop into the chat just an expression of interest in terms of attendance for that, just to let us know whether or not you're keen to come along so that we can plan accordingly. Of course, things come up. So if you say yes now and then you can't make it, no stress. But yeah, we'd love to see you on Thursday nights, 5 till 6. So you will have time to come and have some fun and then be ready for dinner.
Maybe with a glass of wine, we can celebrate with, the next day will be our last cohort session. So,
and yeah, feel free to, if you've got kids or partners in the house, invite them along, no worries. It's just a bit of fun. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, everyone. We will catch you on Wednesday for design, which is going to be a really good session. And
have a lovely day.